money into that old AC, we'll buy back your old AC system and give you $500 plus 0% financing for 24 months. Your family stays cool and your wallet does too. Visit al-don.com to learn more about Daikin Fit Systems. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Weather, we have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 3:15, just a couple more minutes. Chance of rain continues into this evening. Overnight low of 73 degrees. Slight chance of rain on Saturday with a high of 93 degrees. Tomorrow night, slight chance of showers again with a low of 74. Very good chance of showers and storms after 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon with a high on Sunday of 89 degrees. We have severe weather in the area, so please be careful. We also have 88 degrees, 73 degrees. It's cooled off as the rain has moved in and a cold front has moved in. 73 degrees with storms. I'm Jim Fairchild, KTRS News.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving term.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel and eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge to look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
We did it. We made it through another work week. Happy Friday, everybody. Heidi Glaus here with Josh Gilbert. Bob Ramsey has the next couple of weeks off, but we're going to keep you hopefully informed, slightly entertained. We've got a lot to get to, and coming up, how appropriate, we're going to talk to the author of a brand new book, The Haves and the Have-Yachts, which I think it is a brilliant title. And as you probably know, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez said I do earlier today. And
is it official?
It's official. And the celebrities, holy cow, Oprah, all the Kardashians, Leonardo DiCaprio, Bill Gates, St. Louis's own Carly Kloss, Tom Brady. It's crazy.
I have a question about the guest list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number one, does Jeff Bezos have any regular friends? I mean, was your guys from the old neighborhood? I mean, were they at this wedding? Were they invited? When you get to be worth $200 billion, do you even still talk to the guys from the old neighborhood?
Well, see, here's what I thought. Maybe he doesn't talk to them because when he was trying to start Amazon, they all said, yeah, we're not going to put any money towards that.
Oh.
And now, this is me in my head thinking, how many people would you maybe not talk to if they refused to, or maybe...
I mean, how could you hold that against somebody? I don't have any money, Am I not invited to the wedding because I don't have $50,000 to invest in
maybe
your
it
online...
wasn't 50.
Your online book selling company?
Maybe it was 100. Maybe it was kind of like a GoFundMe and anything. And if you're one of those people that didn't believe in me, you're probably not going to get invited
dead to me
to my wedding.
But what is Tom Brady's relationship with Jeff Bezos?
The Kardashians.
Not just the mom, all the sisters, they're all there.
Yeah, the Jenners and the Kardashians. Well, except probably Rob.
Are these Lauren's friends? Oh, I forgot Rob even existed.
Mm-hmm.
Are these Lauren's friends? Are these Jeff's bride or groom? Do they do that anymore at weddings?
I don't know, but I saw videos of the celebs arriving. And I guess the pre-wedding celebration was an undisclosed, like even the guests didn't know where they were going. They were just boarding these beautiful boats and going to this undisclosed place. But this is what is crazy. No official word on how much it's all costing, but they are estimating that it has to be somewhere between $45 and $75 million.
Well, again, dropping the bucket when you have $200 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know what his net worth is, but
The city of Venice expects to really make out with as much as $35 million. And the newlyweds are donating millions to several local charities there because, of course, not everybody is thrilled that they've kind of taken over.
I've seen posters that say if you could afford to rent Venice for your wedding, you could afford to pay more in taxes. But here's why we have the book author, the haves and the have-yots, on the show today. This is crazy. Jeff Bezos, when did he get divorced from his wife? We were on the air, so within the last 5 years, Jeff Bezos divorced his ex-wife. She took half of everything. So, she got $100 million, he got $100 billion. He got $100 billion. He's now worth $226 billion in 5 years. He has made back
Well, if you have
$126 billion.
you make money. That's what we're talking about here with the author of The Haves and the Have-Yots dispatches on the ultra-rich. It's kind of this, discrepancy between those who have and those who don't. I want to know, how is this different than the Gilded Age? Because I have friends who are in Newport, Rhode Island right now. And when we went and toured is it the Breakers there?
Yes.
And it was fantastic. But that was a time of opulence and big, gorgeous mansions. I mean, those were mansions. So anyway, we'll talk to him coming up here at 3:30.
Does he have a prenup
It says that he does.
on the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Only make
I
that
hope-
mistake once. Don't you? With that much money?
Well, again, in 5 years, he's already made up what he lost and then some.
Yeah.
So who cares? But best wishes to the new couple.
Yeah. We'll also check in with Royal Oaks, ABC News legal analyst, on the latest Supreme Court decisions. We'll have him break that down for us. In the 4 o'clock, it's Friday, and a rainy one at that. So we got to do something to lift your spirits. And so we're going to talk spirits with Mike Ward on Wine, and some really easy pre-made cocktails. But we're going to dig a little deeper, like what goes in what glass and what do you garnish it with. So I'm kind of excited about this because I'm fascinated by all the different glasses.
We were out at my in-laws in San Diego last week, and I had said, hey, let's, because they've got this liquor cabinet, and it's like, let's make this drink. And they're like, well, what glass does that go in? And I'm like, well, let me see what you got, because my wife and I, both bartenders, she was much better than I was. Basically, they only let me pour the beer. But I was like, well, let's put them in these glasses. And, the glassware is just as much fun as...
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes. And I get kind of... Now, at home, I don't care at all. I will drink my wine out of a solo cup if that's all there. But if I'm out at a restaurant, I like it to be a thin glass. I like it to be a little bit... bigger. I don't like the tiny kind of old school Italian wine glasses.
Oh, yeah. You want something like a big...
Yes. And I like a thinner glass than the thick, which is funny because Marcia gets really particular about coffee cups. She gets a little weird about all of her drinkware, but I don't really care about the coffee cup as much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd have to talk to her about that. Wonder where that is. But when you, back in the 90s, and even the early 2000s, everything was martini glass.
Yes.
And now it seems like it's the coupe, you know, that more rounded that you can drink champagne out of. You can drink.
Can you put a margarita in that coupe or a martini in that? So we're going to talk to Mike Ward about all that. And of course, if you have a question, he is here to answer all of them on the Woods Basement Systems text line 84126. We'll also check in with Alex Stone. NASA is talking about these fireballs in the skies over the south. I mean, so many people saying, what is this? And I just saw this and blah. Anyway, they're going to explain what it was.
I wanted to say this yesterday when Max was talking about alien movies. I don't want to see a ghost.
Oh, I don't either.
I don't want to know that ghosts exist.
I don't want to feel one.
I don't want to feel one.
Nope.
It feels like such an invasion, you know. They could be there at any point.
Yeah.
Scares the crap out of me. A UFO, I want to see one.
I don't need to.
I want to see one before I die.
Okay.
I want to know that it's out there. I want to know that something exists. I think it would be so fascinating to see it zip around up there.
I'll pass. Yeah, okay. I'll pass on it. I don't need to. I would probably be the Kate McKenna in the skit as far as that goes. Yeah. Nope. We also are going to talk to the author of When the Stars Came Out. This is the story of the Mississippi River Festival, and we're revisiting that because starting tonight is the Mississippi River Festival returning to Alton, and they've got a pretty good lineup, actually. I was just looking at this like, wait a minute, what? Ben Rector, Brian Owen Soul, Beth Bombara, those two are both local. Blackberry Smoke, Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors. I've seen them. They're super fun. Nikki Lane, I was listening to her on Sirius Radio the other day. Cassie Ashton, Brent Cobb. I mean, there's a lot of great music here. So we're going to talk about the festival that starts tonight, and then we'll take a look back at the festival that so many people, I know we have some of you out there that, attended the Mississippi River Festival. I'd love to hear some stories on the text line about it.
And I was just talking about MRF because we were at Steve's Hot Dogs, and in lieu of wallpaper, their wallpaper at the hot dog place, or at least the one that's out in the district in Chesterfield, is all old concert posters.
Oh, that's cool.
So you had Mississippi Nights, you had
and of course Steve is also a performer.
He's a performer with the Urge. But there was a lot of Mississippi River Festival, and one of the people I was with said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh,
yeah, legend.
Let me tell you more."
The Who, the Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin. I mean, the Who's Who came here for
Neil
that.
Young.
And at that point, it was at SIUE. On the campus there. So anyway, we'll kind of take a look back and a look ahead.
Doc Severinsen showed up. It wasn't all just, rock music.
When I was reading about it, part of the joy and the thing that brought more people was that it was kind of across genres. It wasn't just one thing. It was kind of an introduction to other jazz and blues and all of it. So we'll talk to the man who wrote the book, When the Stars Came Out, the story of the Mississippi River Festival, which is kind of in a reboot right now. We've got some other entertainment news, and then we'll wrap this show up with some randoms. I made a bad mistake, and I went for my walk today at about 10:30. I've been trying to get it in a little earlier, and it is hot and muggy. You can hardly breathe when you step outside. Now, maybe this rain is going to cool us off, but it's not just here in St. Louis. The new summer travel trend is coolcations. So many people are tired of the heat that they're skipping the summer heat and traveling somewhere with cooler temperatures. So places with mountains, lakes, forests, for example. Swapping out maybe Florida for Alaska, or ditching the desert heat for places like Canada and Iceland.
Well, that's where Bob is right now. He's heading up to the mountains in Colorado, at least. It's got to be nice and cool there, I would think.
San Diego, you were just there. My sister is there now, and I think it was in the 60s.
Yeah, I was going to say, did she tell you? Standing full sun in San Diego on the beach, it's nice and warm. But the temperature, the thermometer reads 71 degrees.
Yeah.
How about that?
I love it. Speaking of vacations, I thought of you. It takes parents 2.5 days to recover from traveling with the family. Now, I was thinking, are we talking about traveling with our in-laws? Are we talking about traveling with our parents? Are we traveling with kids? But, of course, people make jokes all the time that you need a vacation to recover from the vacation. But if you're traveling with family, it's a real thing. According to a new report, it takes parents 2.5 days to recover from traveling with the family. They get down to the nitty-gritty, 2.4 days, which is 2 days, 9 hours, and 36 minutes. And 71% of parents say they do need another vacation to recover from their vacation. I just think about having young kids and when we would go skiing with the family every once in a while and all the stuff my sister had to pack when you're talking about the little ski suits and the sleds and all. I mean, it's overwhelming.
My sister-in-law got married in Mexico as a destination wedding, and her sister had a 1-year-old. So the amount of luggage she showed up with at the airport, we were like, what's in all these? She said one whole full-size luggage was just packed with food and snacks. And we said, we're going to an all-inclusive. And she was like, but I don't know if my son will eat.
That's right.
All of that stuff. So she brought food. She, you know how you're out there on the plane waiting to take off and the cars are driving around with the luggage. One of them pulled around the corner with this big trailer of luggage. And we said, oh, Katie, your luggage is here. I couldn't believe with how much she traveled with, just with the one kid.
Well, speaking of, do you think, especially on vacation and a road trip, is it fair to bribe a kid? Do you bribe Finn if he's in a bad mood or you want him to do something? Do you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think most parents
wrong?
do. Yeah.
Am I not supposed to?
Or what about buying a toy mid-trip just to kind of keep everybody at bay?
Oh, I mean, if it's going to cost me $15 to keep the peace,
yeah,
I'll pay it all day.
And we all know how tight you can be, so that's a pretty big statement right there.
Yes.
The other one, a lot of parents, even if it's a limit on screen time, typically on the vacation, on the road trip, watch as much as you want. Here's my phone. Go play on that. Just be quiet
Knock
for
your
a little
brains out.
bit. Yeah.
But what about like when potty training? We were
traveling.
Bribing. Well, no, not traveling, but bribing. Go back to bribing your kids. What do you think? What do you call that? When you pay your kids something every
allowance?
Week? What about allowance? What do you think that is?
Bribing them to do chores?
To take the trash out. You know, you might call it payment. I call it bribery. But
I think that's more to teach kids about responsibility. And if you do X, then you get Y. Now, bribery.
So I want to hear from the parents, especially parents of kids who are 4.5 right now.
Are you looking for advice?
Yes, 84126 Woods Basement Systems text line. He will not sleep without one of us. Whether it's in our bed, whether it's in his bed, he doesn't sleep alone.
My mom would tell you, you just made the biggest mistake of your life.
It's been going on for 6 months now.
And you're not going to be able to turn back time.
Heidi famously slept with her parents till she was 8 years old.
About.
I told him, I said, hey, if you sleep by yourself, I'll buy you a new toy. And he gets real excited, but then the night comes.
And he can't do it.
And he won't do it. He won't do it.
Is he scared?
No, I think he's just
wants to snuggle.
Used to it.
Yeah.
And so when he passes out, I'll pick him up and I'll drop him in the bed and finally, get some peace in our own bed. But then he'll wake up at, 4 a.m. and come in and grab one of us. He was bragging the other day.
But he doesn't start crying.
No.
He just wants you.
after travel, it was, everybody was super tired, so he fell asleep, dropped him off in his bed. He slept till 9 a.m. the next day. He was bragging. I slept by myself last night. I said, great, let's do it every night. Still hasn't worked. Hasn't clicked.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's some advice that will come in on the Woods Basement System. Text line 84126.
We've talked about sleep divorces.
Yes.
How do I get a sleep divorce for my 4-year-old?
It's probably going to be a little different. A lot of people weighing in about the Mississippi River Festival. James Taylor was on the 4th of July. Someone else, so much fun. The Pointer Sisters opened. Harry Chapin, Chicago, America. Yeah. Somebody said they're headed to Colorado tonight for a softball tourney. Can't wait for the cooler weather. Perhaps we will run into Bob out there. That's our St. Joe CBC mama. You hung up, by the way, and need to figure out how to get that money. So you need to call us back.
Yeah, she won Darren's money last night and then hung up before I could get her information.
Yeah, and good luck in the softball tourney. That's what my niece is doing, another St. Joe kid. She's playing soccer in San Diego.
I got a niece out there at that tournament.
It's a big one.
Somebody said I slept with my parents until I was 12. Not proud of it, and they hated it.
They did. I swear, it is to this day the first thing my mom tells a new parent: do not put that baby in bed with you. Whatever you do, let it cry all night long. Do not. And my poor sister was just in a room by herself.
Well, my joke for that is if you slept with your parents, you have a younger sister.
Yeah, she was alone.
How did that happen?
That probably explains how we act. She's mature and I'm not.
Yeah, but how did the younger sister even come about? If you're in there every night,
well, that's a good point.
Would you jump in bed and say, "Come on," and you pat the pillows? Let's go.
Must have been nap time. I was in a different place. I've never really asked, and I'm not sure I want to know as far as that goes. But I'm glad they did, because I do adore my sister. She's the best. All right, you guys know what we have coming up. Hopefully you'll hang out with us on this rainy Friday afternoon and be a part of the show on the Woods Basement Systems text line 84126. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert, minus Bob Ramsey on this Friday afternoon.
A message from the master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newssetter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
You know, over the years, Lordo's has become part of the family for many, many St. Louis families. For 80 years, they've been helping St. Louis families with all of the jewelry needs, whether it's the diamond ring, a diamond ring, maybe something for St. Patrick's Day, something for an anniversary, Valentine's Day. Throughout the years and throughout the calendar, it's Lordo's as your go-to. Whether it's men or women, you want to repurpose something or buy something new, Lordo's Diamonds in the heart of Ladue on Clayton Road. You see, it's a family business. The family's been running it for years, and they learned it from their father, who learned it from their father. And so that family jeweler, it's where generations of St. Louisans go. Grandparents have gone there. Your grandkids will go there. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, across the street from a Norman Rockwell-esque firehouse, is Lordo's Diamonds. Go in, make a friend, and make them your family jeweler, because you can thank me later. 314-432-8008 or online, lordosdiamonds.com.
Game Day Men's Health is in the business of renewing men's energy, vitality, and helping them feel their best. Game Day specializes in testosterone replacement therapy, and what sets them apart is their on-site lab, which allows their medical staff to get your testosterone numbers and results within 20 minutes. Game Day then offers a one-on-one consultation with their board-certified clinic director, all within 1 hour's time. With 3 locations in the St. Louis area, book your appointment at GameDayMen'sHealth.com and get your results along with a game plan all within an hour.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Are you old school or are you new school? Doesn't really matter, because if you need a hardware store, where do you go? Schnarr's Hardware, and their 2 locations, East Lockwood and Webster Groves, and of course their world headquarters on Clayton Road. You see, Schnarr's Hardware is one of those places where you walk in and you say, this thing broke off my toilet. Do you have one of these? Yeah, follow me. And they take you in the back and you pass 19 different aisles of things that you wish you could stop and look at. And do you need a 3-inch or a 4-inch? I think I need a 3-inch. Great. I'll buy 2 and I'll bring the other one back. That's why Schnarr's Hardware has been so successful. It's the customer service and the attention to detail. Whether you need fertilizer or whether you need something for the kitchen, maybe you need something for the big green egg. 2 locations, 1 great hardware store, Schnarr's Hardware. And yes, the popcorn is always free, as well as the smell, because it smells like a hardware store. East Lockwood and Webster Groves, and on Clayton Road in Ladue, Schnarr's, or schnarrs.com. We'll see you there.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newssetter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It is 3:30 on this Friday afternoon, and it has been nasty out there. That typically causes problems on the roads. What are you seeing, Captain Paul?
Yeah, Heidi, we have a lot of rain-slowed traffic. Southbound 270 is heavy from Page down to Doherty Ferry. Eastbound 70 is running slow from the Blanchette Bridge to the airport. Westbound 70 bogs down at the airport. Westbound 64 is congested from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker, also between 170 and Lindbergh, and from 364 to the 6470 interchange. Eastbound 64 is busy from east of Boone's Crossing to Clarkson. Southbound 55 is stop and go at South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Some isolated downpours across the area into the evening. Do watch for some flooding, at the very least some ponding on roadways. A lot of humidity in the air, and it gets squeezed out by these thunderstorms that'll drift east-southeast to St. Louis by late evening, so dry overnight and a low of 76. A high of 93 Saturday, hot, humid, a heat index near 100, but a 30% chance for a shower or storm. A little lower rain chance, but still a chance Saturday afternoon to early evening. Sunday afternoon to evening, another chance for storms, about a 60% chance with a high near 90. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
As we mentioned, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are now husband and wife. It's a celebration that is estimated to have cost between $45 and $75 million. It couldn't be better timing for Evan Osno's new book, The Haves and the Have-Yachts. Did you plan it this way, Evan?
I'm not sure that the newlyweds were listening to me on my book publication schedule, but we're happy to have them, proving the reason why you write a book like this at all.
Yeah.
Is Bezos in the book?
He is certainly in the book. He's in there for a number of reasons, kind of interesting reasons. I mean, for one thing, he's got probably the most expensive yacht in the world. It's what's known as a giga yacht. That's a term that, you may not have heard if you're not involved in that world. But, it's longer than a football field. Will cost you the better part of $1 billion. And these things didn't really exist all that much until recently. There were only 10 of them in 1990. Today, there's more than 170 of them. And they're sort of symbols of our era in a way. I suppose that's the reason why we're paying attention to this wedding at all.
Yeah. So you said the size of a football field. When they go on this yacht, how many people are they taking with them?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because the actual law allows that unless you get some special licenses, you can only sleep overnight on there with 12 guests. But you can have an unlimited number of staff and attendants, which is kind of, if you think about it, it's all about the ratio, meaning, as some yacht owners said to me, you can be on there with 12 guests, but 50 or 60 or even 100 waiters and attendants supporting them. And as a result, you end up with it's an atmosphere, frankly, that we don't see very much in the 21st century. It's much more like what it was like being an aristocrat at the end of the 19th century.
Well, I was going to say, this book is about extreme wealth in America today. How is it different from the Gilded Age?
Well, it has a lot in common with it. I mean, if you really try to look at the numbers, they're quite fascinating. That today there is, in fact, a larger gap between the richest Americans and the poorest Americans than there was even in the Gilded Age at the end of the 19th century. So meaning that the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts and the Carnegies actually had a smaller share of overall American wealth than the richest 400 Americans do today. So we're kind of living in uncharted territory. And I think we do see, and I suppose we all feel it in our lives, it's kind of rippling through our politics and even in the kinds of things we see on social media.
I want to get into the fun anecdotes about billionaires wrestling each other over newspapers on someone's yacht. But Occupy Wall Street, remember when that happened? 2011? Right. I don't remember. It was 15 years or so ago. This whole thing of people occupying right outside Wall Street. They had one here in St. Louis where they were camping out for a while. It was all about wealth inequality. But as you are saying in this book and on the air with us now, it's only gotten worse since then.
It really has. I think that the numbers tell quite a tale. We're living at a time of extraordinary innovation and wealth creation in this country. I mean, frankly, in 1990, there were 66 billionaires in America. There are now over 800.
Wow.
And yet the actual median hourly wage for most Americans has only gone up about 20% in that 35-year period. And you see the tension. You see the feelings that a lot of folks have that it's very hard to just meet their everyday bills, whether it's health care or rent or buying that first home. The age of an average first-time home buyer in this country has gone up something like 9 years just over the last generation. So there's a real feeling that even at the same moment that we're seeing these images out of Venice of, some of the richest people in the world, that a lot of people are struggling. And I think that was really what was driving this book, was to say, let's actually sit down and look at the numbers and really explore what it's like in this day and age so that future historians can say, how did we get here? And frankly, how do we get beyond it into a place where people are feeling a little better about their economic prospects?
Can you wrap your head around, of course, the have and the have yacht? You have all these people that say they really despise the rich, and yet we put a man in office who is a millionaire.
You're absolutely right. That contradiction in some ways is our very American condition, Heidi. I mean, if you look at it, we've always, from the beginning of the country, had on the one hand an admiration for wealth and also a real suspicion of it. I mean, 59% of Americans today will tell you that billionaires are making the country less fair. And an identical share of Americans, 59%, will tell you that they want to become billionaires themselves. There's a kind of, and I'll tell you how I think it reconciles, is that Americans have a feeling now that the system, quote unquote, is really stacked against the opportunity for individual advancement and social mobility. You know, if you were born in 1940, you had a 90% chance of out-earning your parents. Today, it's dropped by more than half.
Wow.
And on the one hand, we still look at these success stories as kind of inspiration, but at the same time, a lot of people, particularly young people, and I talked to a lot of them for this book, will tell you that they feel that their own chances of getting into that upper rung are dwindling. And so this is also a chance to try to say, okay, this is not about giving up on the dream of getting rich. This is about recognizing the things that are standing in the way and giving ourselves some tools and information to help solve that problem.
Evan, can you point to why the discrepancy has gotten so much wider?
I can. In the end, it comes down to taxes and wages. I mean, these are the essential building blocks of our economic system, and we've made. I'll give you a couple of examples. You know, if you're one of the 400 richest Americans today, you actually pay, in effect, 50% less in taxes than you did 50 years ago. Whereas in the middle class, people pay about actually a little more than they did 50 years ago. So, and that's partly because in Washington, you know, if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of influence, and that has made the tax code more generous to people at the very top. I think that what it really also says is we're right now on the cusp of another big creation of wealth in our history with the advent of artificial intelligence and robotics and everything else. And this is a crucial time for us as a population to say, let's make sure we make some really smart choices of the kind that we made at the beginning of the 20th century, which then took us from the Gilded Age into the most prosperous century we've ever had. You know, the 20th century was like a model for how to do it, how to make sure that the gap between the rich and the poor was narrowing. So we have some history there. And the big takeaway for me, having done all this research over these years, is that it actually comes down to civil society. It's all of us, you know, picking up the phone, calling our members of Congress and saying, hey, it matters to me that we make sure that I have opportunity and my kids have opportunity. So keep that foremost in our minds as we go about making law.
Again, I'll bring up the Occupy. It became headline news, and then it just kind of went away, and it's gotten worse since then. So I'm wondering if it takes more than just picking up the phone, because clearly they were talking to their Congress people. Is it okay to talk about this? I feel like anytime I bash the rich, somebody comes along and says, "Oh, you're just jealous."
You know, I think there's a piece of that gets to this ambivalence that we talked about a moment ago, right? Where we, as Americans, we feel like it's our kind of natural aspiration to get rich. But the honest answer is, in our history, the pendulum has swung back and forth between moments when we've made really smart choices to maximize opportunity for the most people, and also moments like the Gilded Age when we just frankly allowed too much money and power to concentrate in the hands of too few. You know what's amazing is if you look at surveys of both people on the left and the right today, you find one thing in common, which is they both feel that there is a small group of powerful people in this country who are preventing everybody else from having opportunity. Of course, they'll describe them, you know, they think they're talking about different people. But in many cases, it's really the fact that, you know, we have really not done enough. We just simply have not done enough to make sure that people who are working hard at the bottom of the income ladder are getting the opportunities that they can. And that the truth is, it's not that complicated. People in politics are responsive to big public outcry. You know, Occupy, it was, as you said, it was there, and then it kind of went away. But the election of Donald Trump in 2016 was, in its own way, a sign of people's frustration. And I've been going to these Bernie Sanders rallies recently to gauge the mood, and I've actually bumped into Republicans in some cases who are attending Bernie Sanders rallies because they say, I'm frustrated. I don't see progress on this. I want to start to figure out how to make sure that more opportunity is being distributed to more people.
So, Evan, tell us about some of the fun stories The billionaires fighting on yachts.
Well, in some ways, this book was fascinating to research because what you discover is that when you get into these fairly hidden worlds, I mean, these are not places that most people spend a lot of time, that there's anxiety playing out on board in a way that almost reminds you a little bit of the middle school cafeteria. I mean, here's an example. The single most important metric in the world of giant yachts is what's known as LOA, which stands for length overall. And you do have these guys, and they tend to be guys who are kind of masters of the universe competing about who has the biggest yacht. And I think that there is the reason to focus on this world is kind of that they're just an amazing laboratory for what is this very human competition about ego and pride and power, and right there playing out in the realm of steel and suede and brass. And I think there's a reason why the show Below Deck on TV has been such a hit, because it kind of captures some of that world, but it's not an easy world, frankly, to get into. And it took a while of talking to people. One person would refer me to the next, who'd refer me to the next. And, look, I got enough of a taste of it myself to realize why people fight so hard to stay in that world. Standing there in the Monaco Yacht Club looking out, and you can begin to get a little feel for what it's like. But it is also a little bit, I felt like I was living history in action, and, felt a little bit like stepping into an Edith Wharton novel or something out of the past. And I kind of felt like it was time for people to read up close what this world is like.
Yeah, we're talking to Evan Osno, who has a book out, The Haves and the Have Yachts. What is the craziest, most obscene thing, minus the Giga Yacht, that you found someone owned or did?
Well, I had a pretty fascinating experience where I embedded with a hip-hop star while he went and performed at a bar mitzvah in Chicago. I went with Flo Rida, who a lot of folks will know. I said, can I come along? Because people are paying you $250,000 to come play for a room of 13-year-olds. He said, yeah, you can come along. So off I went. I mean, we're now at a time when people no longer just pay for front row seats at the arena or even a skybox. As I talked to a lot of artists, and as one said to me, people didn't used to have the Foo Fighters play in their backyard on a Tuesday because they couldn't afford it. But now there is a small stratum of Americans who can. So I kind of dipped into that world for a while and said, all right, here's how it works. Here's who's getting paid. Here's who's saying no. And here's what they actually say to each other behind closed doors.
Well, I know I, for one, want to know more, and you can get Evan's new book, The Haves and the Have Yachts, Dispatches on the Ultra Rich. It's out now, and you can find it wherever books are sold. Thank you so much for spending some time with us on this Friday afternoon. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Do you know why right now is the absolute best time to book your new patio or deck with my friends at Outdoor Living? Aside from being the best in town, these guys are really smart. They pay attention to market conditions, and they've stocked up on patio and deck supplies, including steel, all before these tariffs kicked in. So while their competitors' pricing has gone through the roof, prices have never been better at Outdoor Living. Now is the best time to call and book your summer job. Not to mention, these same competitors have sold out to large conglomerates and hedge funds. Pat Leahy and his team remain locally owned and operated, providing the best pricing and the best service in town. So, looking for a new deck or a new fence or anything outdoor? Outdoor Living, 314-966-DECK. That's 314-966-DECK. Or check them out online, Outdoor Living Inc., or check out their great showroom, Big Bend and I-44 in Kirkwood, OutdoorLivingInc.com.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands. Because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody. It's our favorite song.
This is former Cardinal and Navy Lieutenant Mitch Harris. Salute those who serve. Join the Cardinals on Friday, July 11th for Military Appreciation Night, presented by Boeing. With a special themed ticket, fans will take home an exclusive Cardinals 40-ounce tumbler, honoring all 6 military branches. Arrive early for a powerful pregame concert by the U.S. Air Force Band on the Budweiser stage. And best of all, a portion of each ticket benefits USO Missouri. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/theme. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Hey, Heidi Glaus here, asking you to join us weekly as we present the KTRS Book Club, presented by the St. Louis County Library for readers of every generation. Books transport us anywhere our imagination wants to go. They are absolutely magical. The KTRS Book Club will introduce you to local and national authors, events, and special programs presented by the St. Louis County Library every week from 3 to 6 right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
8 minutes before 4 o'clock. Let's toss it over to Captain Paul, see how traffic's moving.
Heidi, there's an accident on northbound 55 at Revis Barracks. Southbound 270 is heavy from Page down to Doherty Ferry. Eastbound 70 is running slow from 141 to the airport. Westbound 44 is heavy from Arsenal to Shrewsbury. Westbound 64 is congested from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker and from 364 to the 6470 merge. Eastbound 64 is busy around Clarkson and from 170 to Big Bend. And southbound 55 is crowded from Gasconade to South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by Club Fitness. Club Fitness is the premier health club in St. Louis with 24-hour access at all of their 19 locations and endless amenities. You will see what everyone has been talking about. Sign up today at any location or online at clubfitness.us. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
We learned about several Supreme Court decisions earlier today. Royal Oaks ABC News legal analyst joins us with a look at that. Let's start with birthright citizenship. Where do we stand and what was actually being questioned here?
Yeah, it was actually a twofer. The birthright citizenship debate related to the fact that, okay, the Constitution suggests in its language that if you're born in America, you're a citizen, even though your parents might be undocumented. Trump comes along in January and says, no, that's not how I see it. Executive order, they are not legal. So somebody sues, and a national injunction is issued by a single federal judge, and he says Trump loses the whole nation. Trump takes it up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and today they did not decide the birthright citizenship issue. They said that's for another day. What they did decide is judges who are individual trial court judges, there are hundreds of them across America, they do not have the power to issue a national injunction that governs the federal government everywhere from sea to shining sea. So as a result, yeah, birthright citizenship lost. That is, it won in this particular district, but for the whole nation, you're going to have to file a lot of other lawsuits to get an agreed outcome. But probably a year or two down the road, the U.S. Supreme Court will resolve the issue one way or the other.
Wow. In another decision, the court preserved a key part of the Affordable Care Act's preventative care. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, once again, the John Roberts court has saved Obamacare. Famously, twice, Roberts, over the last many years, has saved Obamacare from being stricken down as unconstitutional. And once again, his court said, you know what, to the extent Obamacare seems to guarantee you preventive care, not just, going into the emergency room when you have a crisis, he says, yeah, Obamacare does give people free preventive care. So, yeah, one more victory for the Affordable Care Act.
And then there was one more. The Maryland parents who have religious objections can now pull their children from public school lessons if they're using LGBTQ storybooks.
Yeah, so the parents were unhappy that the elementary school kids, and that's all this relates to, were being told by teachers, hey, here's the deal about trans rights and LGBTQ, and hope you grow up being really sensitive to this. A lot of parents said, that's against our religion, and we just want to take our kids out of that. We don't want them listening to that lesson plan. Goes up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the high court said, yeah, we're on the parents' side. These aren't high school seniors. These are little kids in elementary school, and if parents want them out, then the parents have a right to opt out.
Do we have any examples of this actually happening?
We've seen news reports about it, but, not too many details. I mean, it gets kind of inflammatory. It's an emotional, passionate issue. I don't think it's too widespread, but, it happened in Maryland, and it was a big enough deal for the U.S. Supreme Court to agree to take it up, which is, they take up about 1% of the cases offered to them. But they thought, this is one where parental rights are important, and we got to uphold them.
We were supposed to have you. We missed a hit the other day, but we were going to talk about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and he had his day in court. And there's this issue where you can now send people to third countries. You're from Venezuela. You come to the United States. They catch you. They send you to South Sudan. Is that legal?
Yeah, that was a fascinating issue, wasn't it? So when somebody says, hey, you can't send me home, they're going to kill me back there, the Trump administration's response in some cases was, oh, okay, well, we're not monsters. We'll just send you to another country where they're not necessarily going to kill you. And so that was an issue in that case. The other weird twist is the Department of Justice wants to put this guy on trial for human smuggling, but ICE wants to just deport him out of the country. And the DOJ is saying, hey, wait a minute. If you're deporting him, ICE, they're both in the same Trump administration, well, then, how are we supposed to put him on trial for human smuggling? And that's still up in the air. The judges are trying to sort through it. It's kind of a head scratcher. But, yeah, that case is a diamond with a lot of facets.
Yeah, and he seems to be quite the political football, though. But where is his person actually at the moment?
Yeah, I understand that he's still in custody, and ICE is, they want to know, well, when and where are you going to put him out on the street? Because, later on you'll have your human smuggling trial, but in the meantime you get to go home. And when you put him on the street, we're going to grab him and deport him. And so it's up in the air as to when he's going to be released, whether ICE can grab him, and whether the DOJ is going to be unhappy because, he's flying off to some other country and they can't put him on trial.
Wow. Fascinating stories all around. Royal Oaks, ABC News legal analyst. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Earlier we were talking about the haves and the have-yachts. I've got good news. You don't have to be rich to own an RV. You might not realize this. You can get an RV, and it's sort of like a mortgage. It's not like a car. Depending on what you're buying, of course, you can pay it outright if you have that kind of money. But if not, you can get into smaller RVs at maybe $100 a month. Byerly RV has more than 30 brands of new RVs in stock on their lot in Eureka. I'm talking travel trailers, fifth wheels, camper vans, gas and diesel motorhomes, and they have a great selection of used inventory as well. What Byerly RV also has is a rich history. Now, the RVs they started with close to 80 years ago, they don't look like the RVs that you see today. I mean, you get into these RVs and we're talking dishwashers, washer and dryers, big size refrigerators that you will see in your own house, and then all the comforts as far as that goes. You can also get into smaller ones where you just have what you need, and you can get out and get into the mountains or go to a beach. You can go wherever you want, and that is the joy of RVing. And I think that's what Byerly knows that they are selling. They have a great staff that can kind of help you with exactly what will fit your lifestyle and whatever kind of vehicle you have. And by the way, if you already own an RV, Byerly RV has the best service department in the area and a fantastic storage facility. So go to ByerlyRV.com, or better yet, swing by the dealership this weekend. They're right there in Eureka at 44 and 109. Coming up, Mike Ward joins us, and we're going to talk about some pre-made cocktails.
Foundation cracks come in many different shapes and sizes: vertical, horizontal, diagonally. Is that crack just a crack, or is that crack going to lead to a leak? You need to know the answer. Hi, everybody. McGraw-Millhaven here for Cornerstone Structural Repair and Waterproofing. Who do you call? Who can you trust? Cornerstone Structural Repair and Waterproofing. Call my friend Dale. He is the industry leader. They will accurately assess and fix your crack permanently. 314-262-6277 or stlouisfoundationrepair.com.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Supreme Court justices today issuing decisions on key cases. One of them allowing the Trump administration to move ahead with a case on birthright citizenship. The High Court did not decide the merits of the case, but limited nationwide injunctions by lower court judges. President Trump calling it monumental.
This was a big one, wasn't it? This was a big decision. amazing decision, one that we're very happy about.
Plaintiffs in the case now amending their lawsuit, immigration attorney William Powell.
Alongside our brave soon-to-be mommies, announce our intention to file a class action lawsuit to preserve and defend the constitutional rights of all children born to immigrants in this country.
In another case, justices in a 6-3 ruling siding with parents to keep kids from participating in school class instruction if they opt out that include LGBTQ-themed books. President Trump pushing the Senate to pass the GOP mega bill filled with spending cuts and tax breaks for the wealthy. The Senate parliamentarian rejected changes yesterday to Medicaid, and lawmakers are now scrambling to make changes. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill.
We already heard Speaker Mike Johnson say earlier today that it would be, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it would be a disappointment, but he could see a world in which the work on this bill is going to slide to after the 4th of July. That is the exact opposite of what President Trump wants. He said he wants lawmakers to stay. He wants them to work the weekend. He wants them to work into next week, even though the July 4th holiday is sacrosanct on Capitol Hill, because lawmakers can go back into their various districts and march in parades and things of that nature.
President Trump says he expects Iran to agree to international inspections to verify it won't restart its nuclear program, and says he would consider striking Iran again if they can still enrich uranium. Defense attorneys presented closing arguments today in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. Prosecutors getting the last word before jury instructions. You're listening to ABC News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
This is KTRS St. Louis and Talk of St. Louis. I'm Jim Fairchild. St. Louis Fire Department is putting an extra emphasis on this year's reminder not to light fireworks in the city on the 4th of July. Get more on that from KTRS's David Sullivan.
The department says fireworks could be especially dangerous in neighborhoods still recovering from last month's tornado. St. Louis Fire Chief Dennis Jenkerson says many of the homes still have tarps up on their roofs, making them very susceptible to any type of fireworks. Authorities say anyone caught lighting fireworks in St. Louis City could face a fine of up to $500 and/or jail time. David Solomon, KTRS News. 2
new disaster recovery centers are opening up in St. Louis to help out folks affected by the May 16th tornado and storms. We get details on that from KTRS's Steve Potter.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer was on site Thursday for the opening of the new center located at Sumner High School. And a third site that will also have staff from FEMA and the U.S. Small Business Administration on hand will open Monday at the Urban League Center on Natural Bridge. Spencer says there's a lot happening, but there's still a long way to go.
We have so far, it's my understanding, FEMA has distributed over $17 million in direct assistance to 3,000 residents, which is a big lift. We want that to increase. We expect it to increase. We know you have to apply by August 11th, so get your application in. We want to see those numbers continue to rise every single day as we have been, and that's a good thing.
Spencer is advising to apply for FEMA assistance before coming to one of the 3 centers. You can do that online at disasterassistance.gov or by calling 800-621-3362. If you can't apply online or by phone, you should just visit any one of the 3 centers and someone will assist you. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
We'll get ready to start paying more for tobacco and nicotine products in Illinois next week. The tax on the vaping and tobacco products will increase by 45% of the wholesale price. Cigars, chewing tobacco, and synthetic nicotine products are on the list. Lawmakers say the increased taxes bring in another $50 million for the state. It takes effect on July 1st. This KTRS Business Minute brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist. place for all your floral needs, plus your order anytime at WKF.com. At the close today on Wall Street, the Dow was up by 432 points, closing at 43,819. NASDAQ also up by 105 at 20,273. S&P 500 gained 32 points, closing today at 6,173. Let's go to the Royal Banks Missouri Sports Desk and Paul Kopsky.
Jim, the Cardinals are in Cleveland this evening to begin a series with the Guardians. The Birds are coming off back-to-back shutout losses to the Cubs with only a combined 7 hits. And Mizzou's Caleb Grill and Tamar Bates were not selected in the second round of the NBA draft, but did sign free agent contracts afterwards. Bates lands with the Nuggets and Grill signs with the Bulls. Meanwhile, Florissant's Ryan Kalkbrenner, by way of Creighton, was taken 34th overall in the second round by the Charlotte Hornets. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. There's an accident with injuries on northbound 55 at Potomac, a crash on eastbound 44 at Elm with a backup to Jameson. Southbound 270 is heavy from Page down to Manchester. Westbound 64 is congested from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker and from 364 to the 6470 interchange. Eastbound 64 is busy around Clarkson and from 170 to Big Bend. And southbound 55 slows down at South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by Pink Zebra Moving Company. Located in Chesterfield, Pink Zebra Moving is more than a moving company. They make moving stress-free and fun. Visit them at pinkzebramoving.com. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Tonight, there is a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly before 8 p.m., overnight low of 73. Tomorrow, a slight chance of rain again, a high of 93. More rain tomorrow night, low of 74 degrees. On Sunday, good chance of rain and thunderstorms likely after 1 p.m. Partly sunny skies with a high of 89 degrees. Right now, we have cloudy skies, 74 degrees. I'm Jim Fairchild, KTRS News.
I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home or condo. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at robangproperties.com.
The storms are back, the wind, the hail, the damage to the roof. And when the roof gets damaged, who do you call? You call John Bill Roofing. But the storms are back. You know who else follows the storms? The storm chasers. These are the teams of people who come and leave a note on your door, mailbox, maybe your windshield wiper, and they tell you to call, and you think you're getting a deal. You give them half the money, and you never see them again. With John Bill Roofing, they've been in this business for a long time right here in St. Louis. They live, work, and play, and they guarantee you to give you the best price on your roof. When the roof gets damaged, your first phone call is to John Bill Roofing, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, or johnbillroofing.com. Roofing, siding, gutters, John Bill Roofing, residential, commercial, industrial, a company you can trust, a company that lives, works, and plays right here in St. Louis. Make it local. Make it John Bill or johnbillroofing.com.
June is Men's Health Month, and the Big 550 KTRS wants to help raise awareness and encourage all our male listeners to take charge of their lives and well-being. Over the airwaves, online, and through social media, KTRS will feature content, discussions, interviews, social media posts, and tips specific to men's health all throughout June.
The importance of a healthy lifestyle, a balanced diet, staying active, hormone optimization, and all aspects of men's health.
Men's Health Month on KTRS is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show
With Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey
on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our headlines for this Friday afternoon.
Yes.
June 27th. Oh, my gosh.
How dare you?
How dare
Go
I
back in
is
time.
right. It's been so hot in St. Louis, even streets are buckling. As a heat wave gripped the region, at least 4 streets across St. Louis, St. Charles, and St. Louis counties curled, arched, and cracked and created spots where roads jutted up like ramps. It's very normal for this time of year, especially with the heat. Kent Flake, the city's commissioner of streets, told the Post-Dispatch. Lenore K. Sullivan Boulevard, right in front of the Gateway Arch, was pushed upward. The same happened on the eastbound lanes of Interstate 44 near Jamison Avenue and Ashby Road in Overland and West Sunny Hill Boulevard in St. Peters. That's according to news reports. St. Louis isn't alone. You might have seen the video circulating of a car going airborne when it hit this ramp in Cape Girardeau. Street buckles occur when intense heat causes the lower concrete or asphalt layer of a street to rapidly expand. The growth then pushes up through the street's top layer, breaking it in half and forming a bump. Repairs for the already damaged streets can be anywhere from easy to complex depending on the damage. Flake said large humps like near the arch may require cutting and digging. Smaller ones can usually just be ground down, and sometimes the solution is as simple as having a heavy truck drive over it a couple times,
smash it back down,
put it back in place.
I was wondering if you could just get a big hammer and just
beat it,
pound it back into place. That's interesting. I have seen that video of that guy getting some air in his car. They don't show him landing.
No, they don't. Wonder how he did land.
That was off camera, but
yeah.
Good luck to him and his axles, and his tires, for that matter. More than 50% of exhibition executives polled in a new survey, these are the people that run movie theaters, said more than 50%, 55%, said they see the traditional movie experience going away within 20 years.
They've said that so many times. They said that with streaming. I don't buy it. Matter of fact, our friend Danielle Combs, new to the Lou, she is out of town, but they're going to the movies tonight to see F1. They go once a week.
Are they? Mm-hmm. Well, good for them. Not many else are joining her. Nearly 90% of U.S. exhibition executives stated that their revenue has not recovered to pre-COVID levels.
I hate that.
It never probably will. And an overwhelming majority of them, 81%, also want exclusive theatrical windows on new releases lasting at least 6 weeks. I tell you, movies in the theater, and then a month later, it's on Disney Plus. You know, that's a problem for movie theaters, because why wouldn't I say, you know what, I want to see it, I'll wait a month. Remember back in the day, a movie hits the theaters?
Because it's not the same experience.
And then a year and a half later, it'll finally be at Blockbuster? That ain't the case anymore. So the question is, what will movies and the movie experience look like in 20 years? Will they be less? Will all the screens be huge? Will they only put the Mission Impossibles and F1s on the big screen?
Or do they make it more of an experience like Alamo Drafthouse, and they just have to reboot their model?
I went to some place out in San Diego, and we saw How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action version. Brought the kids. There were waiters. There had to be at least 10 kids coming in and out just for our one theater. Now, I'm sure they probably went next door and were in the Mission Impossible theater too, but I couldn't believe how many people were working it. Obviously, we spent a bunch of money because, you're there, why not?
And then you're making money on other things.
Mike Ward's here. They were selling The Prisoner. They were selling Camus.
Oh, now that's my kind of movie theater.
I'm not going to tell you the price of these things, and I did not get it because I'm not Jeff Bezos level money. But what is the future of the movies? 84126, Woods Basement Systems text line. When's the last time you went to the movie theater, and what'd you see? Informal KTRS poll. I'm just kind of curious. How many people are going? I'm going this weekend at some point because Finn really wants to see Elio.
I want to go see F1.
I do too.
If it's raining, we might do that because I think that's when I want to see on the big screen. I want to hear the cars fly by.
I'll wait till it's on Netflix.
Okay. I will say Wicked. That was a must-see in the theater. There are certain movies, and maybe that's where it comes. Maybe you have to make the movie a theatrical experience. Maybe we've gotten to making movies too much like TV shows, so we're more comfortable sitting in our house.
I was on the airplane. Wicked was an option. I still haven't seen it. I'm like, I'm not watching Wicked on a tiny screen with earbuds.
No.
You know? So there is the swing.
Absolutely.
There is a yin and a yang to it. But, you know, as far as my 75-inch television at home with a sound bar goes,
you're okay.
For the most part, I think I am.
Well, maybe. I mean, you are taking your kid this weekend, so maybe it'll kind of ebb and flow and you'll get back into it as you and Finn make that a thing. I know that there are movie theaters in Springfield, Illinois, but when you go to Springfield, Illinois, there's so many other things to do that you're going to want to do. I mean, you travel iconic Route 66 to Springfield, Illinois, so that's one. I mean, you can make a full day of the Route 66 nostalgia because it is just incredible. It's a place to celebrate the golden age of just road travel here in the United States with historic eateries. You got Mellow Cream Donuts, which is a favorite since 1932. Then you got the Illinois State Fairgrounds, where vintage cars and murals and memorabilia bring you the Mother Road, kind of bring it back to life, if you will. And then after you kind of soak in some of that nostalgia, you got to go to Cozy Dog Drive-In, which is home of the original hot dog on a stick. Did you know that was invented in Springfield, Illinois?
Hot dog on a stick?
Mm-hmm.
Not a corn dog, though.
Well, a little bit like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are just a couple of things that you can do. Of course, that's one day. And then you got to save time to go to Frank Lloyd Wright's Dana Thomas House, which is so cool. And you can't go to Springfield, Illinois without taking a step back in time and walking with one of our most beloved presidents, Abraham Lincoln. The museum is fantastic, but you also got gardens, the Lincoln Memorial Gardens. So much to do. You need to make it a weekend. And they've even got it planned out for you. You can go to visitspringfieldillinois.com and actually click on itineraries, and you don't have to plan anything. You can just follow along. Again, that website is visitspringfieldillinois.com. Coming up, we're talking some canned cocktails, 2 brand new ones, so you don't even have to work. You just have to pour. That's with Mike Ward after this quick break.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving turf.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel-and-eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge to look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque? That's very eloquent.
Very, thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit CantorInjuryLaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcast? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Yeah, stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things, uninterrupted at Amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Andy from Hats and Stuff. The great deals continue on Cardinals, Blues, City SC, Mizzou, and so much more. Something for the entire family.
And the summer concert schedule is heating up, and we have a huge selection of cowboy hats for just $19.99.
Located at Westport Plaza, across from the Drunken Fish and the Covey Steakhouse, or 24/7 at hatsandstuff.com and the Soulard Farmers Market on Saturdays. Hats and Stuff. Good stuff at really great prices.
Hats and Stuff. Hats and Stuff. Hats and Stuff. Beauty in Forest Park.
Come From Away, a breathtaking musical based on a remarkable true story, makes its Muni debut through July 2nd. For tickets, visit muni.org.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Mike Ward, a.k.a. Ward on Wine, is back to make our lives a little easier. Today, we're talking about several pre-made cocktails and a couple of fun new canned cocktails that just hit the market. It sounds like we're preparing for a float trip.
Yeah, it's that time of year, right? I mean, now the weather's a little bit better except for the rain today, but people are going to be out at the pool, float trip.
Absolutely, and we've got 4th of July next weekend, so hopefully you'll be out and about, buy some water, and you got to have non-glass as far as that goes. So what's the new cocktails that we're talking about?
So it's from On the Rocks, which we've featured before, and what I like about them is they have these pre-made cocktails that you really are low maintenance, so you don't have to worry about it. The best thing about them is they're made with premium spirits.
Yeah. They're not just using kind of the rail vodka or bourbon or whiskey. Like, for example, the On the Rocks Old Fashioned, that's crafted with Knob Creek.
Right, Knob Creek. So you're getting a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey that's very well known. And I always say for these types of products, read the label so you know what's in it. And if they don't state where the spirit comes from or what it is, then you don't know what you're drinking, which is okay. Some of them are okay, but I like to kind of know a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. The other thing that I really like about it is, for example, the On the Rocks margarita. I mean, they're all crafted by bartenders who've been doing this for ages. So it's not like you have somebody high up in the tower saying, mix together some tequila and lime, and let's put that in a can. They've really tweaked it.
They have. And the Beam Suntory Company, so they come from the Jim Beam, and the Japanese version is Suntory Company. So they have a lot of investment in the best mixologists who can craft these cocktails with the perfect ingredients. And we'll talk about like garnish and glassware too.
Yeah.
But for those people that are maybe driving and want to remember how to see this, I was watching the On the Rocks website videos earlier today. They're great. They'll take you through the whole process of how to chill your cocktail, how to garnish it, how to treat it, all the things that you need to know. You don't have to worry about all the juices and other prep. So On the Rocks is a really simple website to go to, and then all the videos are right there.
I'm going to tell you, I learned something last weekend that kind of blew my mind. We were out in the RV, and one of our friends made a welcome drink. Now, it was as simple as Bailey's, Irish cream, but she put it over ice and shook it and then poured it into each one, and it was fantastic. So sometimes it's just the little things that makes it so much better.
Yeah, and taking that extra step. There are so many things with these cocktails you don't have to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about if your margarita mix is fresh. When was the last time I opened it? It's been in the refrigerator. You don't have to worry about all of that stuff, but you can take it a little bit further with the glassware, the ice, and the garnish.
Well, let's talk about the glassware, because there are so many, and I'm not sure what goes in, like the coupe cocktail glass. What goes in that? Champagne?
And I'll go back to the canned cocktail because I didn't answer your question there, but we can go back there. But so let's talk for just briefly the coupe glass, kind of a historic type of glass, or like a brandy snifter, or a martini glass, or a rocks glass.
They're all the same?
Well, no, but what I was thinking on the way up here, because you were talking about glassware, and I was thinking that the listeners may not have a full set of glasses.
Right.
Like we don't. I mean, I'm in the business, and I have a bunch of different glasses. Mary and I were looking at them all today. They're all different sizes and shapes. And I don't think you have to worry about, I have to get the exact glass that video is showing me. Now, if you're having people over, you might want to go. But if you're just having it, this weekend.
It doesn't make it, whereas beer, you're supposed to pour it in a certain thing. And kind of wine, you have your white wine glass and you have your red. With a cocktail, it doesn't affect the taste.
Well, it won't, but you should get close. I'll tell you that. If you can get close.
Okay.
Now, solo cup is always a backup, and if you're going
Hey,
outside.
I'm okay with that.
And like a foam cup, are you tasting
I
the
wouldn't
foam?
use that.
Yeah. On your shirt right now, it
Don't
says
be so judgy.
I know. Your shirt says Missouri, but the U it looks like one of these whiskey tasting glasses.
It's the Glencairn tasting glass, and it does make a difference. It makes an incredible difference when you are, now you're not going to shove your Manhattan in there, but if you're just drinking the whiskey and you want to smell and taste the whiskey the right way, that glass was designed.
And that's
for
a
that.
littler glass.
It's a ball at the bottom, put the whiskey in it, and then it tapers the aroma, so it will direct all the aromas directly to your nose.
So that's great. I've been to whiskey tastings, bourbon tastings. They're everywhere. But if I'm like, okay, you know what? This was really good. I want a full glass on the rocks. Am I still using that glass? Or do you want me to drink bourbon out of that full time? Or do I move on to a regular glass and fill it with ice and enjoy?
Some of what I'm going to tell you is a little bit of opinion, but I would use the Glencairn glass to taste something, especially if you haven't had it before. You're cracking open that new whiskey that you just bought and you haven't tasted it yet. But when you transition to, now I like it, so I'm going to go to my rocks glass. I'm either going to drink it, up, or I'm going to add an ice cube or some water. Now you need the next size. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just pulled this up. It's called a rocks glass.
Yeah.
And that's usually what we see for an old-fashioned, maybe even a Manhattan.
Sure. Or Boulevardier or anything, whiskey-based
It's just
cocktail.
your standard short, wide glass.
Yeah, probably, 10 ounces, 12 ounces, or whatever size. They're different sizes. The ice is important, so make sure that your ice at home, you're using, maybe filtered water, or, they have the molds that you can get for certain ice. Just make sure your water's clean, and then make sure you're rotating those. They're not sitting in the freezer for too long. Ice can play an important role in the cocktail. And then when you put I'm gonna geek out a little bit. When you put the ingredients in, also matters. So like for an old fashioned, I typically put the sugar cube and the bitters in, muddle it, and then put the whiskey in, because I don't want to put the whiskey in first, and now the bitters and sugar aren't going to mix properly with my old fashioned.
Okay.
And that's how I was taught to do it. I didn't create that myself. I was taught that way.
Heidi was talking wine glasses before you got here, and we both like the big bowl wine glasses, but you go to an old Italian restaurant, you've got kind of your short, your red wine, you put it in this little short glass that there's nothing much to it. We like the big presentation of the big wine glass. Does that affect the taste at all?
It affects it incredibly. And the wine glass is designed for a little bit of wine and a lot of aroma. That's what most of the glass is there to capture the aromas.
And so when you get one of those little ones and it's filled up almost to the top,
you're not enjoying the wine because you can't smell it. They're not doing you any favors. I know some restaurants think that shows value, or but just get a bigger glass. It can be a cheap glass, it's fine, but put less wine in it. You can always, drink it and add more wine.
Yeah.
And theoretically, with those big glasses, I'm putting it to my mouth. My nose goes in there, and I breathe the whole thing in, rather than just sip, right from the top of it.
You know that there's a wine glass that has been invented for almost every grape variety.
Stop it.
I mean, many grape varieties, I'll put it that way, including our Missouri grapes.
What does that glass look like?
Well, the Norton glass was designed by George Riedel, the Riedel Company, to just specifically for Norton. And
those are my wine glasses, the Riedels.
Yeah, that's the brand from Germany that's made many of the wine. I think they kind of make them sometimes to sell you another glass, which is okay too.
Okay,
but
speaking
yeah,
of,
yeah, but it does matter.
Does a hurricane glass, the one that is kind of almost looks like a woman's figure a little bit.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you use a hurricane glass for anything else?
So you can use that for whiskey sour or other, but think about like how much of a mix is it going to be versus the amount of spirit that you're putting into it. Because the reason why we're putting that old-fashioned Manhattan in a Rex glass is because the amount of other ingredients, the vermouth, are not going to take up a lot of room in the glass.
Got it.
But with a larger cocktail, you need a Collins glass or a Hurricane glass would be okay, but that wouldn't be the right glass for a Manhattan. Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get a check of traffic, and then we got to come back and actually talk about those two brand new cocktails that we got sidetracked talking about glasses. Captain Paul, how's it looking?
Heidi, the latest is an accident on westbound 270 at 170 with traffic backed up to New Florissant. Westbound 44 is running slow from Jameson to Shrewsbury. Southbound 270 is heavy from Page all the way down to Manchester. Westbound 64 congested from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker, also from McKnight to Lindbergh, and from 364 to the 6470 merge. Eastbound 64 is busy from 170 to Big Ben. Eastbound 70 bogs down approaching the depressed section where it's bumper to bumper. Southbound 170 is crowded from Ladue Road down to 64, and southbound 55 slows down from Gasconade to South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Some isolated downpours across the area into the evening. Do watch for some flooding, at the very least some ponding on roadways. A lot of humidity in the air, and it gets squeezed out by these thunderstorms that'll drift east-southeast to St. Louis by late evening, so dry overnight and a low of 76. A high of 93 Saturday, hot, humid, a heat index near 100, but a 30% chance for a shower or storm. A little lower rain chance, but still a chance Saturday afternoon to early evening. Sunday afternoon to evening, another chance for storms, about a 60% chance with a high near 90. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Did you know you can include backstoppers in your estate planning? Leaving a legacy gift is a great way to make a lasting impact in our mission. By including a bequest to the backstoppers in your estate planning, your legacy will be to make a difference in the lives of families who have made great sacrifices for our safety. Legacy gifts help send children of fallen heroes to the college of their choice, provide families with health care coverage and all out-of-pocket medical expenses, and so much more. Consider making backstoppers your legacy today at backstoppers.org.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants, the cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Let's talk about legacy. Yingling, 196 years of brewing. Family owned for 6 generations. That's elite. That's first ballot Hall of Fame status. But even the legends evolve. So meet the next generation of light beer. Flight, just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. This isn't some watered no flavor regret in a can beer. Flight is crisp, clean, and actually tastes like beer. It's time to level up, St. Louis. Flight from Yingling.
TG Yingling & Sons, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
If you love the feel of cursive writing with a fountain pen, documenting your thoughts and ideas through journaling, or just doodling, the 2025 St. Louis Pen Show is the place for you. Located in the Sheraton Westport Lakeside Chalet in beautiful Westport Plaza, the St. Louis Pen Show runs Thursday, June 26th through Sunday, June 29th. There'll be 95 vendors from 42 states and Canada. Lots of new journal and stationery vendors, and special pen vendor Scopus from Israel and Maverick. Check out their website, stlpenshow.com. The 2025 St. Louis Pen Show, located in Westport.
Foundation cracks come in many different shapes and sizes, vertical, horizontal, diagonally. Is that crack just a crack, or is that crack going to lead to a leak? You need to know the answer. Hi, everybody. McGraw-Millhaven here for Cornerstone Structural Repair and Waterproofing. Who do you call? Who can you trust? Cornerstone Structural Repair and Waterproofing. Call my friend Dale. He is the industry leader. They will accurately assess and fix your crack permanently. 314-262-6277 or stlouisfoundationrepair.com.
Most people think if I name my husband as beneficiary, everything's going to be okay, and that's not necessarily true.
I'm Scott Garcia with Premier Estate and Income Planning.
What am I doing taking care of people after somebody has passed and all the mess that comes with that?
And I'm Jennifer Cermak, Chief Counsel and Estate Planning Attorney of Premier Estate and Income Planning.
No longer is the attorney the gatekeeper to your lives.
Let us show you how to protect your assets, avoid probate, and retire with confidence.
Having an estate plan could be the most important document you could ever have.
The Premier Income and Estate Planning Show, this Saturday at 4 and this Sunday morning at 7 on the Big 550 KTRS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
We're chatting with Mike Ward today about some pre-made cocktails, especially the On the Rocks cocktails, which are available in different sizes and ranging from different alcoholic
different ABVs.
Yeah.
Right, sure. So always look at that because the Knob Creek Manhattans or an old fashioned is like 35% alcohol.
Okay.
And then, like the margarita is 20% alcohol. So just take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm. And then especially if you have the cans, you might think, oh, I'm just drinking a little margarita.
Yeah.
But when you stand up, you might have more than sea legs if you're on a boat.
They're great. Just be careful. 10% alcohol. And the new flavors are cucumber, lemongrass, mule.
Ooh.
So you can have that in your, what are those little mugs, copper mug?
Yeah.
Copper, yeah.
And then the mango mint mojito.
I'll take that.
Those are available.
Okay.
And, I wouldn't say limited. You can find them anywhere.
But
or
popular.
The margarita is probably going to be the easiest one to find.
And they're at grocery stores. They're at liquor stores.
Dirt cheap. Wherever you go,
you're going to find these.
them. Ask for them on the rocks.
You were saying earlier, you can also go to On the Rocks website, and they will kind of show you how to garnish it and what you should actually do if you want to get fancier.
Yeah, and I would even think, that you don't have to go to a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Just have like fresh limes or an orange. One of the things that the mixologist says is to the method for cutting your lime so that you preserve the lime a little bit so it's there for the whole cocktail versus a wedge versus a wheel. And he takes you through and how to zest the lime if you want to add a little zest to it. So if you want to get fancy, you don't have to worry about mixing the cocktail. It's already done for you. But you can have the mixing materials there, the bar supplies, and do it as well. So
our friend Liz says, pet peeve, don't just toss the lemon or lime in my drink. Squeeze those bad boys and give them that juice and oil from the rind. I mean, that's really what it's about. Mike, what does dripping a few drops of water in whiskey do exactly?
Well, that's, the purist wants to just taste the whiskey by itself. And when I'm teaching classes, that's what I have everybody do. But the water will actually chemically react with the ingredients that are in that glass and open up some aromas, and it can be just room temperature water. It doesn't need to be cold.
Okay.
I cannot drink warm whiskey. I just can't.
You have to have a cube in it?
I've got to have ice in it. I've got to have the ice melt a little bit in it, maybe even drip a little water in it. I just cannot drink hot whiskey.
Well, and especially high proof. That, and when it's hot out, I wouldn't recommend it. And especially if you're a novice to it, you need to adjust a little bit for that. But you can chill it. Just remember, when you chill something, you're going to mute some flavors a little bit, but that's okay. A lot of people might like it better that way.
Somebody said, Heidi, if you like Irish cream, you have to try 5 Farms. You'll never go back. And that is so true. And you're going to be outpouring this weekend, right?
I'll be tomorrow at Schnucks Ladue. So if you're in that area, come by noon to 4, pouring some wine. Come and talk to me. We'll talk about all your favorites.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we were out and about one day, and this was last year, and somebody was pouring 5 Farms Irish cream. We bought some, and we've never gone back to Bailey's. And that's what this person says, too. It is so good. And here's one little difference, and you can probably expand on this. Bailey's doesn't necessarily have to be refrigerated after you open it. 5 Farms does.
Well, for spirits like that, they were stabilized years ago where you could, because that was the big problem with them, opening them up and then having them go bad in your refrigerator, or if you didn't have them in the refrigerator. So again, you should probably have that knowledge going in. We talk about vermouth all the time, and people think I can have it open on my counter for 6 years. Those are the types of things that's a little bit of knowledge behind it.
And remind me again, because I think I have a bottle right now. It needs to go, if it's been open for 3 months, toss it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 tops, and put it in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Even
but
the sweet vermouth,
toss it.
But it's wine based, so it's gonna oxidize. Now your vodka or your tequila or whatever, that can sit open on your back bar. That's fine. You can chill it too.
What is the alcohol proof of vermouth?
About 20 to 30%.
Okay.
So you're
much
starting
stronger
with
than wine, but not as strong as a regular spirit.
Normally 20 proof or 20% alcohol by volume because it's a fortified wine. So a port or sherry between 18 and 22, 23%. It's in that range. Some of them could go a little bit higher if they add a little bit more spirit to it. So just check that. And I've been seeing lately wine, regular unfortified wine. Just tried one the other day that was 16% alcohol. That's hard for grapes to have that much sugar and raise the alcohol like that. So and it was great.
Yeah.
But you have to think about that, because you're going to have a glass of wine, and maybe you're just going to have one at a restaurant, so just be safe.
Yeah. Somebody from the 636, it's amazing all the different ways drinks are made these days. I remember my aunt in the 70s poured a 7 and 7 typical kitchen glass, handful of ice. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was saying they've never smelled their wine.
Well,
that's insane.
Yeah, and you should try it.
Yeah.
That's where you should try it.
Even accidentally you smell it sometimes.
Yeah. Just
Maybe they don't have a great sense of smell.
Yeah.
Stainless steel wine glass. What do you think?
I mean, I can't see what's inside of it. I like to see, but that's okay. There's all kinds of different designs in those wine glasses that are like in what's that? Looks like a little. What am I thinking of? Like it's covered all the way, and you can put a lid on it and take it outside.
Yeah, it's like a Yeti.
Yeah, Yeti. I couldn't
wine,
think of it. Yeah,
wine glass.
And that's okay too. But you can still smell it, and if you swirl it just a little bit, nobody's going to make fun of you, and that way you get the aromas. And even if you're drinking a Moscato, like you like really sweet wine, you can give it a little smell, and really get those aromas, because that's the most of what the personality of that wine is in the aromas.
Well, this has been fun, and as I always do, I learn a little something when you're in the studio, Mike Ward. Thank you so much. And again, you'll be pouring wine where?
Pouring at Schnucks Ladue tomorrow, noon to 4.
And these on the rocks canned cocktails, they're bottled as well. They're ready to go. Just add ice. Just add a cup. The last time we chatted about them, somebody said, I always buy them for parties, because then I don't have to be the bartender.
Yeah.
Guess what? We got a pretty big party coming up next weekend. One of my favorites with 4th of July. So these might be perfect for the 4th.
Oh, these are your answer to your 4th of July, and you're going to have a great time. And you can email me, mike@wardonwine.com. And I'm working on Instagram to kind of be up and running there. So we'll work on that. I'm trying to learn it a little bit, so try to get a little bit more information. But everybody have a great weekend. Come and see me tomorrow at Schnucks.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Electricity is very important, because if you don't have electricity, you're sitting in the dark in more ways than one. And when the lights go out for one last time, maybe, just maybe, you want a whole home generator. Well, that's where Michael Baldy comes in, because Michael Baldy can do that. He's putting in a whole home generator for a friend of mine on the hill. Whether you live on the hill or a brand new home, at some point you're going to need some electrical help, and that's where Michael Baldy comes in. He's been an electrician since 1996, and he has a full team of electricians who will help you every single step of the way, whether it's a whole home generator, maybe some extra plugs for the Christmas lights, maybe it's something in the basement, something in the attic, maybe the garage, doesn't matter. Whether it's an old Victorian home or a brand new commercial building, indoor or out, Michael Baldy, the electrician, has got to be on your phone. Put him on your speed dial, 314-968-9999, 314-968-9999. You can thank me later. Michael Baldy, BaldyElectric.com.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, listen closely as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. What is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
And what are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands, or balance issues, call Comprehensive Integrated Healthcare today for a nerve damage screening. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe that nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Simply call 636-241-9370. Act now. Call 636-241-9370. Be among the first 10 callers and get this important screening for free. 636-241-9370.
Hey Mizzou fans, it's new women's basketball head coach Kelly Harper. I'm excited to join the Mizzou family and call Como home. We need you to purchase your season tickets and bring the energy to Mizzou Arena as we battle the nation's top teams. It takes everyone to raise banners and cut down nets.
Good! Mizzou pulls it out at the buzzer!
Season tickets start at just $65. Get yours today. MIZ.
Lots of talk about the weight loss drug. Dr. Joseph Molesky, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician, has me on the shot. Let's talk about cost. Is it cheaper to go to my primary care physician, or is it cheaper to go to you?
The pricing is about half of what you're going to get at a local pharmacy. The medications can range anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400 a month. We make it simple. We make it all included pricing with the consult, the medication, and your follow-ups for anywhere between $399 and $499 per month.
Dr. Joe, you have said that you have special deals for people who listen to KTRS Radio.
Yes. So when they hear us on the radio, what we do is simply you mention McGraw, you get $200 off your first order, and sometimes we extend that throughout the 90 days. So just ask. We make it easy. We have payment plans. We want to make sure that you're successful.
Dr. Joe Molesky, St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physicians. Thousands of St. Louisans have taken advantage of STLMedWeightLoss.com. Set up the meeting, and in no time, you will be losing weight. Thanks to Dr. Joe at STLMedWeightLoss.com.
June is Men's Health Month. And the Big 550 KTRS wants to help raise awareness and encourage all our male listeners to take charge of their lives and well-being. Over the airwaves, online, and through social media, KTRS will feature content, discussions, interviews, social media posts, and tips specific to men's health all throughout June.
The importance of a healthy lifestyle, a balanced diet, staying active, hormone optimization,
in all aspects of men's health.
Men's Health Month on KTRS is brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Frank Cusimano and Jill Farmer, weekdays 10 to noon, right here on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Meep, meep.
449. Captain Paul, how are the roads? Are they getting any better?
Well, Heidi, we have accidents on northbound 55 at Potomac and on eastbound 44 at Jameson. Southbound 270 is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. Westbound 64 is congested from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker, also from McKnight to Lindbergh, and from 364 to the 6470 interchange. Eastbound 64 is busy from 170 to Big Bend. Eastbound 70 bogs down at the depressed section downtown, and southbound 55 I-95 is crowded at South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Man, it was pouring down rain on my way in, and it kind of poured at the house as well. And then it just stopped, but it wasn't really a lot of thunder and lightning. Hopefully, there was no rain coming into your home. However, if there was, and you're in desperate need of a roofer, Dalco Home Remodeling can help you with that. They can also help with siding. They can do doors, whether it's a front door, a French door, a sliding door, and that really changes the look of either a room or the front of your house if you're talking about the front door. I mean, that's a great way to kind of up your curb appeal. They also do bathrooms, whether it's your primary bath or a powder room on the, first floor. If you want to make it look fantastic, Dalco Home Remodeling will work with you to get it just right, because customer service is kind of at the top of the list of what they do. So call Dalco Home Remodeling, 314-648-8113, or go online to dalcohomeremodeling.com. Well, there was a mysterious fireball across southern states, and now NASA is explaining what exactly they were. Alex Stone, ABC News correspondent in L.A., has been covering that story. I mean, what did we see?
Well, a lot of people were wondering that because mainly over Georgia. That's where most of the reports came in, but it was all around the southeast. And in some cases, it was seen as one shooting fireball, and in others, it was multiple and big boom sounds that shook buildings and everything. But people didn't know, was it a plane crash? Was it a missile attack? Was it an asteroid coming back? Was it a meteor? But this is what it sounded like. Two guys driving along. They saw it. They caught it on their dash cam.
Whoa, did you see that? I did.
Did you see that? I did. So, yeah, and those who saw it described it as being scary because they didn't know what it was. It went right over Atlanta.
It was really, really scary. It was like a loud boom noise, but it sounded like just someone stomping. And then the shake was like the whole house was shaking.
So today, NASA explained what went on. They say it was a meteor, first seen about 48 miles above Oxford, Georgia, and it was going about 30,000 miles an hour. 27 miles above West Forest, Georgia, it disintegrated into a bunch of little fireballs. The blast that did that as it broke apart, that was equal to the energy of 20 tons of TNT. That was the big boom. The original fireball was an asteroid fragment, only 3 feet in diameter, but weighing over a ton. 3 feet, weighing over a ton.
Holy cow.
Think of how dense that is. And this woman saw it.
I think it's just like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, It's really, really cool to see, but just definitely out the ordinary.
And, in fact, it was putting off so much heat and light and electricity and everything else that NASA says that their lightning mappers up in space, the satellites that map lightning in the U.S., picked it up as lightning, and multiple Doppler radars caught it as it was moving to the ground. But when it broke apart, the little fragments were like bullets at that point in a bunch of little pieces. It went through a home in Henry County, Georgia.
Oh.
They think the rest of it went into some wooded area. But emergency management saying about that home.
Small, maybe a quarter of an inch hole that had come through and where the sheetrock had something penetrate through it.
The owner of the house says it sounded like a gunshot as it came in. I mean, that's essentially what it was. It was like a bullet at that point. The fragments went right through his house, luckily did not hit him, and I mean, they say he got very lucky.
The resident was just kind of in awe of what happened.
You can imagine. I mean, that's your lucky day if space stuff hits your house and goes right through it and you're okay. But scientists do say, though, that this does go on all the time. Around 50 tons of meteor material falls to Earth every day.
Every day?
Every day. But a lot of times during the daytime, you don't see it. This one was quite spectacular, so people did. But a lot of it goes into the ocean or into rural areas. So scientists say this is not out of the ordinary at all. The fact it went over Atlanta is why so many people saw it. But yeah, 50 tons comes back every day.
So is this like just a gigantic shooting star?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. The fact that it stayed intact and then hit the ground versus just completely burning up. But still, it wasn't that big. If you think only 3 feet in diameter, so it was pretty big in the grand scheme of things. But it wasn't just huge like it looks like in the sky. I was looking up earlier the weight on some of this stuff, and that some of these can be like hundreds of tons. I mean, it's amazing the weight of these things based on how big they are.
And did NASA say that they're going to go out and look for it and try to study it, or do they just let these things fall to Earth and
No, they haven't indicated. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries to go out there and see if they can find it in the woods. But it looks very, very densely wooded in the area around that guy's house where they think the main chunks of it went down. So I don't know if you would ever really find it in all the brush and everything else because it's
the
so
kudzu
overgrown.
out there. Have you been to Atlanta? The whole city's covered in the ivy.
Yeah, that green stuff, the invasive green stuff, yeah.
Alex, we were talking earlier. I want to see a UFO. Heidi does not. Where do you stand?
I'm okay not seeing one, I think. Let's just keep living our lives and not having to deal with that. Can you imagine the news cycle that day when it's confirmed that there are actual aliens?
I'm not. Yeah, I can't wait, actually. I don't want an invasion to take place.
Well, how do you know? You can't request.
Yeah, I have heard something that said if they have the technology to get here, they have the technology to really take us over and and put us in their spice mines.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. I did cover that Alien Fest that time out in the desert. Remember that?
Oh.
Where everybody thought it was going to be this like crazy thing with hundreds of thousands or millions of people, and it kind of was a big bust out in the desert. But that's about as close as I've come. It was right near Area 51, about as close as I've come to seeing an alien.
I bet that was some interesting people watching. Alex, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys. You too.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
For all of your travel needs, you go to the best travel agency in the world. Granted, I'm a little biased. Altair Travel and Cruises. They'll take you wherever you want to go in style. They'll handle all the details. You handle all the fun. Don't go to the Googles. Don't make that mistake. It all starts at Altair Travel and Cruises on Brentwood Boulevard, 314-968-9600. Anywhere you want to go, let Altair Travel take you. AltairTravel.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit CantorInjuryLaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Do you have loved ones ready to retire who are tired of owning their home? Cape Albion Lakeside Retirement Living is celebrating 25 years of being locally owned and operated. Located at Big Bend and Doherty Ferry and surrounded by 2 beautiful lakes, this hidden gem offers resort-style living with the feel of family. Residents easily forge lasting friendships through endless activities. In addition to independent living, Cape Albion offers assisted living and memory care so one can age in place there. Call 636-861-3200 to schedule a tour or check them out on Facebook at Cape Albion.
Wake up, it's a brand new day. Getting your weekday started the St. Louis way. It's the McGraw Show.
Hey, it's Carl the Intern. Monday on the McGraw Show. It is going to be a short week, but we're going to kick it off with Stephen Roberts from ABC News telling us about the Supreme Court decisions that were released on Friday. Fun. It's going to be a short week. So Monday might feel like Tuesday, even though it's going to be, Tuesday, but it's Monday.
McGraw Millhaven, Rose Dalton, and Carl the Intern.
weekday mornings 6 to 10.
Right here on your hometown station, the Big 550. KTRS. This is the
Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis. From O'Fallon, Illinois to Granite City, Lynn Carbon to Waterloo, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. U.S. Marshals confirmed they have captured one of two remaining escapees who broke out of the New Orleans jail. Authorities say Anton Massey was taken into custody 6 weeks after 10 inmates made the daring escape from the downtown jail, busting through drywall. Police say they likely had help. Massey previously posted several videos online, police say, claiming he did not break out but was let out of jail. One escapee remains at large. Nearing the end of its term, the Supreme Court issuing a wave of decisions today, including a partial stay against nationwide injunctions by lower courts, allowing President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship to proceed.
Legal cases in 3 different districts will continue on the merits. The Supreme Court, in oral argument in this matter, did signal that it was skeptical that it could stand up to legal muster, but at this point, the court is really weighing in on the ability of individual judges in districts around the country to block a president's action nationwide.
ABC's Devin Dwyer. In another case, the Supreme Court agreed with parents in a case who want to opt their kids out of LGBTQ books and other instruction in the classroom, citing First Amendment rights. President Trump told reporters today that he will not rule out striking Iran again if they can still enrich uranium. ABC News contributor and former State Department analyst Mick Mulroy.
Israel, the United States, still has air dominance. If they try to rebuild their programs or they try to rebuild their ballistic missile capability, they can be struck again.
Closing arguments wrapped up today in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. ABC's Aaron Katursky has more on the defense strategy.
The defense tried to suggest that Cassie Ventura and Jane, the 2 women at the center of the alleged sex trafficking by Sean Combs, were not victims of trafficking, but part of what the defense called the great modern love story.
Jurors return Monday. You're listening to ABC News.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This is KTRS St. Louis and Talk of St. Louis. I'm Jim Fairchild. St. Louis County Council has voted down a bill to extend the deadline for senior citizens to apply for a property tax freeze. And we get more on that story from KTRS's David Solomon.
The council voted 4-3 against the bill that would have extended the Monday, June 30th deadline. St. Louis County seniors have been able to apply for the freeze on property tax increases for as long as they own their homes since October. More than 70,000 residents have applied for the freeze, and seniors will have to reapply annually. Those who don't get their application submitted by Monday's deadline will have to wait until next year. David Solomon, KTRS News. 2 people were injured after a car crashed into a home in University City this morning. Audi SUV crashed into a residence in the 500 block of West Drive just before 1 a.m. The driver and the passenger were transported to an area hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A woman and a dog inside the home at the time of the crash were not injured. The house had significant damage. The dangers of tobacco and secondhand smoke are being weighed again by lawmakers, and we get more on that from KTRS's Steve Potter.
According to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, tobacco use remains the leading cause of death and disease in the state. The Missouri Tobacco and Control Program currently works with various groups to promote quitting and also eliminate exposure to secondhand smoke. And now, Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, along with Senators Susan Collins and Cory Booker, have reintroduced bipartisan legislation to prohibit smoking in all Department of Veterans Affairs facilities, which includes the John C. Cochran Veterans Hospital in Midtown, the St. Louis VA Medical Center at Jefferson Barracks, as well as other facilities in neighboring counties. It would repeal a 1992 law that requires VA facilities to provide and maintain both indoor and outdoor smoking areas, and it will bring the VA in line with smoke-free policies now in place in federal government buildings and the private healthcare system. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, smoking is the leading cause of preventable death in the United States, killing more than 480,000 people every year. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter No Florist, place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. On Wall Street at the close today, stocks were up. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 432 points, closing at 43,819. NASDAQ gained 105 points. It closed today at 20,273. And the S&P 500 added 32 points, closing at 6,173. Now let's go to the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk and Paul Kopsky.
Jim, the Cardinals are in Cleveland this evening to begin a series with the Guardians. The Birds are coming off back-to-back shutout losses to the Cubs with only a combined 7 hits. And the Mizzou-Illinois football series will not be renewed next year as originally planned. The series between the Tigers and Illini will instead begin in 2027 and will now in total span 6 games and not 8. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. There's an accident on northbound 55 at Arsenal blocking the 2 left lanes. Southbound 270 is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. Westbound 64 is congested from Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker and from 364 to the 6470 interchange. And eastbound 64 is busy from 170 to Big Bend. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
We have a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms before 8 p.m. tonight. Mostly cloudy overnight with a low of 73. Tomorrow, a slight chance of rain, mainly before 4 p.m., high of 93 degrees. Overnight low tomorrow night of 74 with few sprinkles. Sunday, we have showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly in the afternoon after 1 o'clock. Mostly partly sunny with a high of 89 degrees. It has cooled off considerably. We have 72 degrees. We had a high today of 90, 72 now, and cloudy skies. I'm Jim Fairchild, KTRS News.
Carney, Buck.
Monday on the Carney Show, we check back in with Rob Silverstein, of course. Brandon Weiss is going to talk sports with us. Skyman Bob tells us what's falling in Atlanta. And Ziggy Marley joins us on the show as well, reggae royalty. It starts at noon. We'll see you then.
John Carney, Julie Buck, weekdays at noon on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
The Mississippi River Festival returns to Alton tonight for 2 nights of music at the Alton Amphitheater at Riverfront Park. The festival originally ran from 1969 to 1980 on the campus of SIUE. Mark Pierce wrote a book about it, When the Stars Came Out, and he's joining us with a look back and ahead. Thanks for making time for us on a Friday night.
No problem. Thank you very much.
This festival was huge and brought in the best of the best. How did it originally get started?
Sure. Well, SIU Edwardsville wanted to get people to come see their new campus. They had this beautiful campus in Edwardsville, and they wanted people from St. Louis to cross over the bridge. At the same time, the St. Louis Symphony was looking for more dates for their musicians to work. And so they came to an agreement where the symphony would come beginning in the summer of '69 and play on campus outside under a tent with a really natural amphitheater for people to watch. But they also brought in the popular artists of the day, which was sort of a trend back in the late 60s, early 70s. So that's why in the same week you could get Janis Joplin or Bob Dylan, but you could also get a couple of concerts from the symphony.
So it was a week-long festival or just a couple days?
No, it would last all summer long. They would play 6, 8, 10 weeks, depending on the summer, and they would have the symphony over the weekend, and then they would have popular music, folk, blues, jazz, rock during the weeknights.
And Mark, how many people attended each year?
Well, over the course of 12 years, they drew more than 1.5 million fans. So if you average it out, you're talking about well over 100,000 a year. The symphony concerts would draw 1,500, maybe 2,000, depending on what it was. But then you would have, if the Eagles came in, you would have upper 20,000s. The Who played before 32,000. So it really depended on who was there at the time.
And were there seats? Was it like Riverport, where there's just a big grassy hill?
It was very similar to Riverport. This is before those sheds or amphitheaters really started, but they had a few thousand seats, directors' chairs really set up under the tent, and then they had a stage under the tent, and then you had the amphitheater that was really a natural hillside, so you got a great view down under the tent. And a lot of people preferred to sit out there because it was cheaper and it was more of a place where you could kind of hang with your friends.
Well, not only are you an author of When the Stars Came Out, you're a journalist, you're also a graduate of Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. Were you there, or you've just heard the stories of?
No, I was too young. I was 12 when it ended in 1980, but I heard the stories from my uncle and from other people through the years who had been down there, and I always found it fascinating that all these big names played at SIUE. And then I went to school there, obviously, in the late 80s, and it's just something that always stuck with me. And so finally I decided a few years ago to sit down and try to put something together.
And what sorts of things will we find in your book?
Well, it tells a lot of the stories about the artists who came to town in Edwardsville and hung out with the fans and with the student workers.
Love that.
Those were my favorite things about hanging out with Don Henley or Charlie Daniels or Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and some of those great stories of that. But really the story of how the MRF got started, how it barely struggled to survive for so many years financially, and then how it came to end in 1980. But really, it's just something that the people who experienced it means so much to them even today.
So I'm looking at pictures, and there's plenty online from back in the day. Tons of people hanging out there. You think of the Hollywood Bowl. It's a clamshell. It's open. It opens up so people can see. The MRF had literally a huge tent, and there's a little sliver underneath the tent where you could see the band. Did people, when you were interviewing and talking, did they say, well, we never really even saw the Who, but we heard them?
Not really. I mean, I've experienced the same thing as I look at the pictures. It's not super open. They raised the tent. They didn't have sides on the tent, but it did stick down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there were so many people who they preferred to be out there. They would bring buckets of chicken and bottles of wine, and they would just camp out on a summer night. Maybe they did hear it more than they saw it, but I didn't hear anybody complain about sight lines or not really being able to see. And I think if it was an artist you really, really wanted to see or really loved, you would just spend, maybe $1 or $2 extra to get a seat.
I was going to ask, what were tickets?
Well, when they first started, it was in the $1 to $1.50 range. Yeah, to see Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, Iron Butterfly. It elevated a little bit as the 70s wore on, and especially at the end of the run when an outside promoter took over, the prices went up quite a bit then. But those first 6, 7 years, you're talking about up to $2, $3, $4, $5.
And we had the pleasure of speaking with you about this in the past. We've had the pleasure of speaking to Bob Heil about this before he passed away. What led to the downfall? Why wasn't it here anymore until the revival?
Well, in 1974, the symphony decided to back out of management because of the financial losses, although they still appeared for the next few years. The SIUE administration wanted to keep it going. A man named John Rendelman, who was president, he felt very strongly that it was something that needed to survive. But unfortunately, he passed away in 1976. And when his replacement came in, they started to look at the rising costs, the financial losses, and to be honest, in the late 70s, a bit of crime on the site, drugs, alcohol, that kind of thing. Nothing major, but it was just something that the new leader of the university really didn't want to be involved in. So he handed off management to a promoter, Niederlander Corporation, and within 3-4 years, it just started to sour with the community, prices going up, a lack of diverse entertainment, focusing mainly on the rock acts and not having those other acts that maybe didn't draw as many, but it meant something to the community to have that diversity there. And then the university and Niederlander started to kind of have some issues. And after 1980, they just kind of stopped putting it on. It never was an announcement that it would never be held again. It was just an announcement that the 1981 season wouldn't be held, and then that was it. It never came back.
Was there an pouring of people saying, wait a minute, where did this go?
I think so, yeah, at the time. But, it was, again, Niederlander had kind of soured some of the community. It didn't feel like the MRF they had kind of grown up with or gotten used to and accustomed to. And, there was a quote in the Post-Dispatch at the time where it said Niederlander had a great reputation for making monies and enemies. And they kind of soured everybody on it. And over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, it just sort of faded away. And then you had, some groups try to bring it back here and there, and they would have a concert here and there under the name, but it never took off again.
I got to imagine, Mark, though, the people that went in the heyday, the ones that were there for The Who and Neil Young, they grew up and started having kids and stopped going to music festivals.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the prices just became just too exorbitant to really bring in the caliber that they brought in at the MRF. I mean, in the early 70s, you could bring in a Who, you could bring in a Charlie Daniels band and pay them, $10,000, $15,000 at the max, and give them a percent of the gate, which is what they did for the Eagles and the Who and some of those big bands. Once you hit the 1980s and the big amphitheater started to be built, there was no way a university the size of SIUE could ever bring something like that back. It just would have been impossible. But as people have said, hey, it was great for the 12 years we had it, and the memories will never go away.
We're talking to Mark Pierce, who wrote a book about MRF, When the Stars Came Out, and we've talked about people trying to bring it back. Well, this is the second year of the Mississippi River Festival in Alton. How are the two connected?
Well, they're connected through the production company that is putting on. It started last year, and now tonight and tomorrow night is the second year they've brought it back. That production company is run by a man who owns the name and the logo, Mississippi River Festival name and logo. There's only been one logo. You see that logo with the moon and the two wavy lines meant to mean the river. That's the original 1969 logo. There never was another one. And he owns that. And he decided with some other people last year to bring it back as on a one-day event at the Alton Amphitheater. He's based in Alton. And they brought, 4 or 5 bands and had a great turnout, great event. I was there. It was really a lot of fun. And so what they did this year was they expanded it to 2 days, which is today and tomorrow. And unfortunately, I think they're dealing with some rain out there right now. And the latest I saw was that the first couple of opening acts this afternoon were canceled, but they're still hoping to get the headliners on tonight, and then hopefully tomorrow will go well too.
Well, and they've got some great music. Ben Rector tonight, tomorrow, Blackberry Smoke, Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors. I've seen Nikki Lane is great. I mean, these are maybe some up-and-comers, but they got music on the radio.
Well, that's what I was impressed by last year. They had Larkin Poe, who, is a pretty well-known act.
Yeah.
And they've won the Grammy Award for Best Blues Album, and they headlined last year. And they brought back Fastball, who had some hits in the 90s for, some of the people of my age group, I guess, and some others. But yeah, I was really impressed by the quality of the groups they brought back last year, and I think these are groups that are known by certain people. I was talking to somebody this week, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we love Ben Rector, and we're really hoping to get out there Friday night." So, and Blackberry Smoke is great. So
Absolutely.
I think. Yeah, I hope the weather dries up, and I hope they get a good turnout and keep it going, because I think they really do, from talking to them, they do want to keep this going into the future.
Well, it sounds like they're on to something. Mark, thank you so much for joining us and kind of helping us look back a little bit, and then hopefully we'll look forward. And the Mississippi River Festival is at Alton Amphitheater at Riverfront Park tonight. Tomorrow, general admission is $55. So if you want more information, you can find it, I'm sure, on the Alton website. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
I got to tell you, nothing goes better with music than
pizza.
Yeah, how'd you know I was going to say that?
Because you're the pizza guy. And, you
Am
were
I
talking the
that?
other day that you didn't really want a cold beer if it was hot.
Yeah.
And you didn't want milk if it was hot. So I just kind of figured it was pizza.
And it's funny. I was just talking to my wife about this. Growing up, it was always about, cold beer and pizza. Oh, beer and pizza, they go great together. I think that when you start drinking beer with it ruins the taste of the pizza. It might make the beer taste better, but it makes the pizza taste worse, and that's really what I'm here for, is the pizza.
Yeah.
Especially when it's Dogtown pizza.
I'm with you. We've got 2 in the freezer right now.
Do you?
Yep. We'll probably have one this weekend.
Just texted my wife, and I said, I am starving. Let's have a Dogtown or 2 tonight, and maybe we will. I had one last week. I'm probably going to have another one this week. I might have 2 tonight. We'll find out, but it's all about having those emergency pizzas on hand.
Break glass in case.
Yes. I got 6 of them downstairs in the fridge. Because
My problem is I'll eat the whole thing.
I know, because they're really that good. But I keep threatening Bob, I'm going to do this. I keep threatening the listeners, I'm going to do this. I am going to grill one on the grill this year. I'm going to figure out, maybe I put it on a pan, maybe a pizza stone or something. But I'm going to cook it on the grill this year, and I'll let you guys know how it turns out. But Dogtown pizza, you can even reheat them up in the air fryer.
There's never any left.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Heidi. But Dogtown has got 13 different flavors. Every local grocery store in town, dogtownpizza.com. What goes great with music? Well, what goes great with anything? Pizza.
Lots of talk about the weight loss drug. Dr. Joseph Molesky, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician, has me on the shot. Let's talk about cost. Is it cheaper to go to my primary care physician, or is it cheaper to go to you?
The pricing is about half of what you're going to get at a local pharmacy. The medications can range anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400 a month. We make it simple. We make it all included pricing with the consult, the medication, and your follow-ups for anywhere between $399 and $499 per month.
Dr. Joe, you have said that you have special deals for people who listen to KTRS Radio.
Yes. So when they hear us on the radio, what we do is simply, you mention McGraw, you get $200 off your first order, and sometimes we extend that throughout the 90 days. So just ask. We make it easy. We have payment plans. We want to make sure that you're successful.
Dr. Joe Molesky, St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physicians. Thousands of St. Louisans have taken advantage of STLMedWeightLoss.com. Set up the meeting, and in no time, you will be losing weight. Thanks to Dr. Joe at STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands. Because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody, it's our favorite song.
This is Victor Scott II, and there's something for everyone at Busch Stadium. Meet us at the ballpark on Sunday, July 13th, as the Cardinals take on the Braves. 20,000 fans ages 16 and up will score a slick retro warm-up jersey courtesy of Mercy, and 10,000 kids 15 and under can grab a one-of-a-kind Cardinals basketball thanks to the Pasta House Company. It's fun for the whole family. Don't miss it. Get tickets at cardinals.com/promotion. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
JF Electric Company, Inc. seeks assistant project manager, Edwardsville, Illinois, to manage electrical construction projects. Highly involved with the bid process, often contributing information and recommendations on the bid itself. Proactively assists PMs with managing electrical construction projects from winning the bid to completing the work. Helps establish project objectives and lays out the project plan in accordance with contract specifications. Identifies, applies for, obtains, and maintains all applicable permits as directed by PM. BS or equivalent in engineering or construction management. Ability with prior leadership role, adhere to a schedule and reliably show up for all scheduled shifts on time. Attention to detail, computer proficiency, Primavera or ability to learn Primavera within 90 days. Resumes to J. Foster, 200 Lakefront Parkway, Edwardsville, Illinois, 62025.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
This is Larkin Poe.
So good.
Apparently, they came to the Mississippi River Festival last year.
I
when
wish
Alton
I
put
would
it
have
on.
known that.
They won a Grammy for Best Blues Act. They're two young women in the blues. They sound great.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Did you see this fantastic story? I think we need more love in the world. In an effort to show compassion and kindness, a woman by the name of Candace Cabrera has taken being a landlord to a whole new level. In a now viral TikTok, she details the moment she decided to rent her home to an international family who had recently won a visa lottery through their company. And despite initial challenges, including not having a credit score, which things you don't even think about, having to get an apartment if you're moving here from somewhere else, Candace chose to go beyond just renting them the property. She wanted to make sure they felt at home. And she said that they were having a difficult time finding a place, and they just wanted to be upfront with her right off the bat that, you know, they were struggling a little bit. They left behind everything to start anew. I mean, maybe the essentials, but that's about it. And in case you're wondering, Candace connected with them through a listing on Zillow, appreciated their openness about their situation, including offering documents like their permanent residency card and employment letters to establish trust. Her decision to help the family was really influenced by her own experiences living abroad. She studied in Costa Rica when she was just 16, later lived in Germany, the Czech Republic. So she said she had lived abroad many times, and she knew what it was like to be a part of a community, or try to be a part of a community when you're an outsider. So in addition to giving the family a chance by renting out the house, she decided to also leave a little lease signing gift. So she got them a colander with a few other essentials for their move-in day. She planned to include practical items suggested by her TikTok followers: roll of toilet paper, a shower curtain, just some odds and ends to help them get settled in. In addition to the physical gifts, she made a couple of lists which included emergency contacts for police, non-emergency police, other essential personnel. It also detailed when trash is collected, local transportation services, their closest hospital. So as she kind of looks back on it, she just emphasizes the importance of kindness. She hopes her actions will make the family feel welcomed and supported, not just as tenants, but as members of the community. And she said, for someone who is moving from a different place to the United States, embrace the small talk and that chatter because it's nice to know your neighbors. Isn't that fantastic? Speaking of that trust that, they were trying to build with her, a study found that there is one trait that can make you happier the rest of your life, no matter how old you are: trusting other people. It makes us happy.
Happier.
It gets easier and easier to do. Trusting people makes us happy, and being happy makes us want to trust people. So one leads to the other.
I feel like when you don't trust people, it breeds contempt.
Yeah.
It breeds resentment.
You're angry. You seem more bitter.
Yes. What's the phrase I'm looking for? You're just jaded all the time about everything, and you're just pessimistic. So I like that. It makes a lot of sense.
I think so, too. And the type of trust does matter a little bit. Trusting the people you're closest to makes the biggest difference, followed by trusting humanity in general. Now, institutional trust, when you have trust in things like governments, banks, healthcare, that doesn't make as big a difference. Harder to trust as well.
Are you a trusting girlfriend, or have you ever dated someone who had serious trust issues? Ugh.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No, it's a nightmare.
That's why it doesn't usually last.
Truly.
5:31 on this Friday afternoon. Time to get another check of traffic with Captain Paul.
Heidi, the roads are in pretty good shape despite the rain. In fact, southbound 270 is running at the speed limit from Maryland Heights down to South County. Westbound 64 is congested in front of Forest Park. And from 364 to the 6470 interchange, it's bumper to bumper at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 170 is crowded from Forest Park Parkway down to 64. Eastbound 64 is busy around 170. And the Page-Lindbergh interchange will be closed tonight at 8 p.m. through Monday at 5 a.m. to demolish the eastbound side of the Page Bridge over Lindbergh. This traffic report is brought to you by Club Fitness. Club Fitness is the premier health club in St. Louis. With 24-hour access at all of their 19 locations and endless amenities, you will see what everyone has been talking about. Sign up today at any location or online at clubfitness.us. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, you had a real estate story about the people now renting. She's a new landlord. I got a real estate story as well.
Okay.
Kathleen Spangler, a U.S. Marine Corps officer, forgot she paid for an Irish cottage.
Forgot?
She bought 2 tickets for $6.50. Total was $12.67. It was a raffle.
Oh.
She forgot she applied for Irish citizenship through her lineage last year, and she saw online that someone was raffling off their 1.75 acre Irish farmhouse.
Raffling off for good or just for like the week?
For good.
Oh.
I'll tell you what her story was in just a second. It's a 2-bedroom cottage. And she forgot she had done so, and a friend called her and said, I saw your name in the newspaper. You want an Irish cottage? And she goes, oh, I did?
Oh, my gosh.
So I guess, if you fill these things out, and you put your name in to win a house in a raffle or something, it's on the honor system. You have to, I guess, show back up at some point and claim your prize.
Yeah, otherwise they just raffle it off again.
You'd think they would call you, but here's the story. A woman by the name of Imelda Collins raffled her house off just last month. It was like I said, a 2-bedroom cottage in Ireland. Here, I'll show you the pictures. Rolling acres, 1.75. It's cute, right?
Yeah.
Tickets were $6.40 a piece. And what she was doing was she was wanting to move to Italy. She is in her 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband currently lives in Italy. She wants to move back there, and she saw someone else raffled off their house, and she said, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at it.
Because you can make more money raffling it off than if you're selling it outright?
Bingo. And if you
Okay.
have a house that's raffleable, then you might as well give this a try. She bought the house for $150,000 in 2022, so
Okay.
3 years ago. She put investments into it to renovate the whole thing. She says the house right now is probably worth $336,000 with the house
And the land.
and the land and the whole property. This is how much she got
The raffle?
through the raffle. 206,000 tickets, $1.4 million.
Brilliant.
She is planning to move to Italy and teach English and do something with social media. But she said she had seen someone else do it. It was a renovated Irish stone barn. This other house was beautiful.
Mhm.
They raffled it off. They made like 4 times more than they would just selling it outright. If you've got a house that's raffleable, in that people, oh, I would love to live there. I'll
Yeah, but-
buy a $6 ticket.
But what are the legal kind of implications if you don't sell enough? There's got to be some small print of if we sell
Yeah,
X,
if we
Y,
sell
and Z,
more than
'cause if not,
$330,000,
all of a sudden 3 people have bought a ticket, and now
Well,
what happens?
Again, that's why you got to have a good social media manager running the campaign, and hopefully you can make 5 times what your house is worth, which is what this woman did. So,
Wow.
Do you want to raffle off your house? You should talk to Lauren about that.
I think we should.
Is
That'll
that
be
a
the
good-
topic on Wednesday.
Is that a good idea?
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Some isolated downpours across the area into the evening. Do watch for some flooding, at the very least some ponding on roadways. A lot of humidity in the air, and it gets squeezed out by these thunderstorms that'll drift east-southeast to St. Louis by late evening, so dry overnight and a low of 76. A high of 93 Saturday, hot, humid, a heat index near 100, but a 30% chance for a shower or storm. A little lower rain chance, but still a chance Saturday afternoon to early evening. Sunday afternoon to evening, another chance for storms, about a 60% chance with a high near 90. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Great news from Appliance Discounters. They've teamed up with LG and now opening up their 6th location. Appliance Discounters factory outlet store will be offering out-of-the-box, slightly blemished, factory closeout, or one-of-a-kind brand-new LG appliances at drastically reduced prices. Some will be reduced as much as 60%. Appliance Discounters and LG teaming up. Now 6 locations. To find the one nearest you, theappliancediscounters.com.
Do you have loved ones ready to retire who are tired of owning their home? Cape Albion Lakeside Retirement Living is celebrating 25 years of being locally owned and operated. Located at Big Bend and Doherty Ferry and surrounded by 2 beautiful lakes, this hidden gem offers resort-style living with the feel of family. Residents easily forge lasting friendships through endless activities. In addition to independent living, Cape Albion offers assisted living and memory care so one can age in place there. Call 636-861-3200 to schedule a tour or check them out on Facebook at Cape Albion. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Asset protection may sound self-explanatory, but it is quite involved and very complicated. That's why St. Louis, for the last 50 years, has turned to Beck, Lennox, and Stolzer Estate Planning and Elder Law because they want to protect their children and their grandchildren's inheritances. And with baby boomers retiring at a record clip, now is the time. BeckElderLaw.com, 636-946-7899. You can thank me later.
Find what you love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
responsibly. B21.
The Irish Gypsy Bar and Grill in O'Fallon, Missouri. Your spot to catch all the NFL games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Sit back and root on your favorite team on one of our 8 televisions or our 150-inch big screen. Enjoy some jumbo wings, Reuben egg rolls, or our famous mouth-watering steak sandwich. Wash it all down with our draft beer and bucket specials. Open 7 days a week from 11 to 1-ish a.m. 21 and older after 6 p.m. The Irish Gypsy, 1250 Bryan Road, O'Fallon, Missouri. Check us out online, theirishgypsybar.com.
Electricity is very important because if you don't have electricity, you're sitting in the dark in more ways than one. And when the lights go out for one last time, maybe, just maybe, you want a whole home generator. Well, that's where Michael Baldy comes in because Michael Baldy can do that. He's putting in a whole home generator for a friend of mine on the hill. Whether you live on the hill or a brand new home, at some point you're going to need some electrical help, and that's where Michael Baldy comes in. He's been an electrician since 1996, and he has a full team of electricians who will help you every single step of the way, whether it's a whole home generator, maybe some extra plugs for the Christmas lights, maybe it's something in the basement, something in the attic, maybe the garage, doesn't matter. Whether it's an old Victorian home or a brand new commercial building, indoor or out, Michael Baldy, the electrician, has got to be on your phone. Put him on your speed dial, 314-968-9999, 314-968-9999. You can thank me later. Michael Baldy, BaldyElectric.com.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk a little entertainment news. While the Brady Bunch was about one big happy family, it didn't start out that way. I have never heard this story. One of the show's producers said it was originally meant to be more about the parents. On an old episode of the Real Brady Bros podcast, this was back in 2022, a rerun of it ran this week. Lloyd Schwartz, who worked as a producer and a writer on the show, said it evolved over time. His father, Sherwood Schwartz, created the series, of course. He said, we realized that the kids couldn't not affect the parents. They could only have, they were involved in their own lives, and the parents could be there to help them out. And so that's how the show evolved, and the kids became the stars. It was originally just going to be about the parents, but that's why in the second year, which I didn't realize this, they changed the song. It wasn't the same, or maybe they changed it to, so that's how we became the Brady Bunch, but they changed it. Isn't that interesting?
I wonder what the show would look like with the focus, because you never really, they're there. They're all there.
Yeah, but it's more about Alice.
Yeah, you're
doing
right.
Doing stuff with the kids than it was, mom and dad.
You spend more time up in that Jack and Jill bedroom than you do in Mike's drafting room down at...
And I wonder if Carol and Mike were sold they're going to be the stars, and then, wait a minute.
Yeah,
we're turning this around.
I'm thinking, I started thinking to myself, what's a show where you have the parents and the kids are really just more background? Everybody Loves Raymond. He's got twins, and I think there's a third kid.
Yeah.
You never see him. Like they might, sometimes you watch Everybody Loves Raymond, and in the background there'll be a toy, and you're like, oh, that's right, they have kids. But they're not part of the show.
Yeah.
You never even see them.
Well, interesting. The Social Network Part 2 is in the works. I think it's safe to say that a lot of things have happened regarding Facebook since the original Social Network came out in 2010. So Aaron Sorkin is making a sequel that'll focus on the consequences of Facebook becoming the largest social media platform. It'll be based on the expose the Wall Street Journal did on Facebook that exposed the fact that the company was actually aware of its own negative impacts, including the spread of disinformation. No word if Jesse Eisenberg will return to play Mark Zuckerberg, but that could be really interesting. I know Social Network was just named as one of the top movies.
Yeah, it's in the top 10. I think it's a fantastic movie.
I do too. I probably need to rewatch it because it's been a while.
Yeah, and you don't really need to be a tech person.
No, it's about the people.
It's definitely about the people.
Yeah. Netflix is making a documentary about Olivia Newton-John. That'll be interesting. The guy who plays Jesus on The Chosen actually met Pope Leo and took a selfie with him. I wonder what Pope Leo thought, yeah. A comedy called Very Young Frankenstein is in development at FX with Mel Brooks executive producing. So he seems to be really busy lately.
Yeah, busier than ever.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else about him a little later. The Grateful Dead's 1977 concert film is coming to theaters and IMAX in August to celebrate the band's 60th anniversary. That might be kind of cool. You know?
We'd have to ask Carney how many are even left.
I think one, right?
Is there one guy left?
No. Carney was still in his office. He might still be here now.
Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
John, if you're
on
out
a Friday.
How many people are left from the Grateful Dead?
Mariska Hargitay is reflecting on the moment that changed her life forever. When she was 25 years old, she discovered that the man who raised her, her father, Mickey Hargitay, was not, in fact, her biological parent. She said it was so rough of learning about Nelson Sardelli, her biological father. She said, I had been invited to this guy named Sabin Gray's house, and he was head of the Jane Mansfield fan club. He was a lovely guy, obsessed with Jane, loved her so much, and was a huge collector of memorabilia, movie posters, and anything related to her. He's showing me all these photos, dresses that he had collected, earrings that she wore, things from movies, from the movie set, props, whatever. And then she said, do you want to see a picture of Nelson? And she said she just looked at him, and then this jolt went through her body. And she said, who's Nelson? And she said at that moment, like in 1 second, she knew.
That's how she found out?
Yes, that he was her biological father. He's a former Las Vegas entertainer. And at 90 years old, he's actually featured in her new documentary, My Mom Jane, which will debut on HBO Max today.
Oh,
I want to see it. Everybody,
gosh.
Savannah and Craig were interviewing Mariska yesterday, and they both said it was incredible. Like, you have to watch it.
She's making the rounds. I do want to see this story. I don't know much or anything about
Jane.
Yes.
Well, it was very interesting because, you know, she was 3 years old when her mother died. And
she was in the back seat, right?
Yes. And I guess this was like the first time they opened up this storage facility since maybe the late 60s. So I definitely want to watch it. After weeks of rumors and speculation, it seems that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom are done. I forgot that they weren't married. I know they had a baby, and I just assumed they had gotten married, but they didn't.
So back to the Bezos wedding in Venice right now.
Orlando Bloom is there.
Orlando Bloom is there. Katy Perry was on the rocket ship.
Yeah.
You know, is Katy Perry there?
I think she's on tour.
Oh, she is?
Yeah. But maybe that explains why he was there, but I have read that he wasn't happy about her doing that.
Did she get invited and he's going?
I don't know. It's interesting.
Did they both get invited?
Or did they originally friend Orlando Bloom, and that's how she got on the rocket ship?
Who gets the Bezoses in the divorce?
I don't know. How many times have you seen that tearjerker of a commercial with Sarah McLachlan singing In the Arms of the Angel?
Gosh.
You can't watch it, right?
No.
Well, she even says she can't watch those ads because they're too painful. She, of course, is talking about abandoned and abused animals, but she loves animals and had a friend on the ASPCA board, so she agreed to do them. But the ad didn't show her as the happy, optimistic person that she is. She said it showed her as this sort of quiet, sad person with all my puppies and kitties. I'll never forget the director saying, I just need a little more sad face from you. It all worked out, though. She says in a year, the campaign raised about $30 million.
Yeah, you almost feel guilty not giving money.
Yeah. In related news, she's releasing a new album on September 19th called Better Broken. So fingers crossed, that means she's going to tour. Lainey Wilson took some time out of her show to honor a young woman in the crowd that was about to join the U.S. Army. She said, "Thank you so much for your service. Because of people like you, I get to do what I do, and that just means the world to me." Zach Bryan was at a bar in Dublin, Ireland, and he overheard one of the staff mentioning he was working late night shifts to pay for college. Zach left him a $7,000 tip. Aren't those the stories that are just fantastic?
Whoa.
And did you know,
Zach, if you're listening, I'm also paying my way through college right now.
Did you know U2's guitarist, The Edge, isn't Irish?
He's not?
Or wasn't. I had no idea, but he's actually British. On Monday of this week, he became a citizen of Ireland after 60 years of living there.
Really?
Yes. I thought that was...
How is that possible?
I don't know.
David Howell Evans, better known as The Edge.
Which I wonder how they came up with The Edge.
I don't know.
I mentioned My Mom Jane. The documentary is on HBO. Of course, you got the 2025 NHL Draft. On Netflix, the third and final season of Squid Game. And then on Peacock, the streaming premiere of The Woman in the Yard. It's a psychological horror movie about a family tormented by a mysterious woman draped in black. I saw the trailer, I feel like, every other day, and it's just the trailer scared me. And then F1 the movie, starring Brad Pitt, is in theaters. A couple birthdays. Khloe Kardashian is 41.
She was at the Bezos wedding.
Tobey Maguire is the big 5-0. And the previously mentioned Mel Brooks will be 99 tomorrow. That's your evening entertainment report here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hi, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. The weather is warming up. Is your air conditioner ready for this year? Now's a great time to call Premier Heating and Cooling to schedule a preventative maintenance check and make sure you can keep cool all season long. I just did it. It's great to check it off your to-do list. Of course, Premier is the oldest and most experienced American Standard customer care dealer in St. Louis and St. Charles. They're family-owned. They have an A rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they have over 35 years of experience in residential and commercial HVAC. They take pride in their fast response time, quality workmanship, and friendly staff, and they have the highest referral rate. The majority of their new customers are referred by current customers like me. Also, if you suffer from allergies, an air cleaner could really help get you through this season. Call 636-916-1122 or go to premierheatingcooling.net.
8 minutes before 6 o'clock, let's get one final check of traffic on this Friday afternoon from Captain Paul.
Heidi, the roads are in good shape for a Friday afternoon. Southbound 270 is running at the speed limit from Maryland Heights to South County. Eastbound 64 slows down around 170. Westbound 64 is congested from 364 to the 6470 interchange. And the Page-Lindbergh interchange will be closed tonight at 8 p.m. through Monday at 5 a.m. to demolish the eastbound side of the Page Bridge over Lindbergh. This traffic report is brought to you by Dents Express. If the recent storms have you saying, "Oh, hail," bring your car, truck, SUV, or van to Dents Express for a free hail damage repair evaluation. Dents Express will have your ride looking like new again, and they'll even take care of the insurance paperwork. That's Dents Express at dentsexpressstl.com. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
The storms are back, the wind, the hail, the damage to the roof. And when the roof gets damaged, who do you call? You call John Bill Roofing. But the storms are back. You know who else follows the storms? The storm chasers. These are the teams of people who come and leave a note on your door, mailbox, maybe your windshield wiper, and they tell you to call, and you think you're getting a deal. You give them half the money, and you never see them again. With John Bill Roofing, they've been in this business for a long time right here in St. Louis. They live, work, and play, and they guarantee you to give you the best price on your roof. When the roof gets damaged, your first phone call is to John Bill Roofing, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, or johnbillroofing.com. Roofing, siding, gutters, John Bill Roofing. Residential, commercial, industrial, a company you can trust, a company that lives, works, and plays right here in St. Louis. Make it local. Make it John Beal or johnbealroofing.com.
Hey, Illinois. This is Ben Barnett, board-certified master arborist and owner at Timberline Professional Tree Care. Sorry, St. Louis. This message is for our friends in the Metro East. Did you know that most Missouri-based tree contractors can't legally travel into Illinois? This is due to federal motor carrier regulations that require large trucks and their drivers to be registered with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in order to travel across state lines. Almost all other tree services in Missouri fail to meet the requirements for safety, drug and alcohol testing, and equipment maintenance that are required for interstate travel. Here at Timberline, we meet and exceed all of these requirements and will be glad to travel across the river to meet all of your tree care needs. Call us today at 636-479-7475 for tree fertilization, pruning, insect and disease treatment, or complete removal. Or visit our website at stltreecare.com. That's stltreecare.com for service in the Metro East area.
Ready to hit the road this summer? On us? Enter Byerly RV's Summer of Adventure Sweepstakes for your chance to win a brand new Forest River Wildwood 174 DB LE or $20,000 towards a vehicle purchased from Byerly RV now through June 30th. No purchase necessary to win. Your summer adventure could start with a single entry. Don't miss out. Enter Byerly RV's Summer of Adventure Sweepstakes now through June 30th. Visit www.byerlyrv.com/Summer of Adventures for full details.
In Forest Park. Come From Away, a breathtaking musical based on a remarkable true story, makes its Muni debut through July 2nd. For tickets, visit muni.org.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's wrap this Friday up with a couple randoms.
ABBA got its name from the first letters of the four members' name. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Agnetha, Bjorn, Benny, and Annifrid.
I love that.
I never knew that.
It's fun.
Never knew that.
Have you ever seen Mamma Mia?
No.
Oh, it's such a fun show. The movie either?
No.
Okay, it's fun. It's really fun.
Kind of chick flick.
No.
Is that not fair?
Mm-mm.
And these are all people that worked at McDonald's growing up. Jeff Bezos. And by the way, Mazel Tov, congratulations on your recent nuptials. Mark Hamill, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Rachel McAdams, Fred Durst, Pharrell, Sharon Stone, Jay Leno, Seal, and Pink all worked at the McDonald's.
I think Pharrell got fired.
Oh, did
if
he?
memory serves. There was
Did
some
he?
story about that. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, thanks for hanging out with us on this Friday. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, stay cool, and hopefully you'll meet us right back here Monday at 3. Until then, see if you can put a smile on somebody's face.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen, a moment to find your dream, or build one, a moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
Honey, come here, quick.
What is it?
Shh, check it out. The prices on all these highly rated tequilas are amazing. Total Wine must have made a mistake.
Nope, they always have the best deals in town. Remember that amazing reposado your sister brought over last week? See, it's right here.
Whoa, that's a low price. I mean, whoa, that's a low price.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. B21.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
4th of July savings are here at the Home Depot, so it's time to get your grilling on.
Pick up the Traeger Pro Series 22 pellet grill and smoker, now on special buy for $389, was $549. Smoke a rack of ribs or bake an apple pie. This grill is versatile enough to do it all. This summer, no matter how you like your steaks, your barbecues are guaranteed to be well done. Celebrate 4th of July with fast free delivery on select grills right now at the Home Depot. Subject to availability.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's